I'd like to start the meetings on time. If I could remind everyone to turn their cell phones to vibrate or off.
He's right here.
Joel?
Hi. You can get to your seat now.
Boy, you sound like a teacher.
I'm looking around, you know, where is
Trustee Broughton,
Present.
Trustee O'Neill,
Present.
Trustee Wilson,
Present.
Trustee Sanchez,
Present.
Trustee Stefan, and our student trustee will be joining us later, I believe. Thank you.
No, that wasn't appropriate. But that's okay. Kind of out of order here. The regular meeting of the Desert Community College District Board of Trustees is called the Order Pledge of Allegiance. Could I have that led by Trustee O'Neill?
Army. Ready? Please begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we have expedited this meeting by doing a roll call prior to everything else. So, moving on. Board, I love to do that to my students too. Board meeting agenda pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2B2. The board may take action on items of business not appearing on the posted agenda upon a determination by a 2/3 vote of the board, or if less than 2/3 of the members are present, a unanimous vote of those present, that there is a need to take immediate action and that the need for action came to the attention of the local agency subsequent to the agenda being posted as specified. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the agenda of February 11th, 2015?
No, not that I'm aware of.
None for me.
Okay, seeing none, the agenda stands confirmed as amended. And at this time, we're ahead of time, 9:33, we will be going into closed session, so we might get out on time today. We'll reconvene to open session. There's nothing to report out from closed session, but something was brought to my attention. We will be pulling consent agenda B, Human Resources, item number 10, the academic calendar 2015-2016 at this time, and we'll be bringing it back in March. Okay? We're removing it from this agenda, bringing it back in March. Okay? I thought I had two of these. I have three now. Okay. And at this time, we have public comments. Persons who wish to speak to the board on any item may do so at this time. There is a time limit of 3 minutes per person and 15 minutes per topic unless further time is granted by the board. Your comments will be timed, and you will be asked to stop speaking when the timer sounds. Please understand, the board welcomes your comments, but is not able to respond to those comments at this time. Okay? We have, let's see, I'll try to do these in the order in which they were actually received. Roberta Uton K. She'll be talking with regard to learning in retirement.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Roberta Utan Kay, and my partner Stephen Spurgeon, right there, from whom you'll be hearing in a few moments, and I are here today representing the organization Learning in Retirement, or LIR. We are both newly appointed board members and instructors in the program. This morning we are asking you to consider extending and enhancing a partnership between College of the Desert and Learning in Retirement. I will share some reasons why we believe this is a mutually beneficial plan, and Stephen will be more specific about what that would require. For 20 years, Learning in Retirement has successfully brought a stimulating educational experience to the Coachella Valley's mature adults aged 50 and older. For the past 2 years, our site has been the Liberal Arts Building right here on the Palm Desert campus. We hope to continue our relationship with COD past the current end of our lease, which is up in April. Just in this current winter term, which started in January, LIR has an enrollment of more than 400 students, each paying $50 in tuition. This academic year, LIR will provide COD with revenue it would not have realized otherwise, namely more than $20,000 in room rental payments. The hard costs to COD are only utilities in the rooms. Our program is so popular that we had to close enrollment in 7 of our 16 classes. Class subjects range anywhere from conversational French to the Supreme Court, and many, many more. All of our instructors are experts in their fields and facilitate their classes on a non-paid volunteer basis. Our faculty is made up of retired professionals who are motivated by the love of learning and the desire to give back to the Coachella Valley. Learning in retirement complements your mission of lifelong learning. Larger than any one of these specifics, however, is our belief that LIR benefits the COD brand through the goodwill this program engenders in the Valley. Our students are proud to come to the campus, are impressed with what they see and who they meet, and they share those positive impressions with neighbors, friends, and family. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll hear from Stephen Spurgeon, I'm sorry.
That happens all the time. Good morning again. Extends some things that my colleagues said. Also the fact that our students are older, they vote. Older people are motivated to vote, and I think that's something to keep in consideration as well. This year, as in the previous, College of the Desert has provided 4 dedicated classrooms to LIR, plus use of the Pollock Theater. We understand why this is not possible going forward. We've had good meetings with Lisa and with Pam as well, so they've explained the plans for the college, and we understand that present accommodations are not realistic to go forward. But we think we are flexible. We could work with 2 classrooms. We could make that work. We could even work with a classroom that is large enough to accommodate 80. And we actually have 80 in a couple of our classes that we're signed up for. So we are flexible. We would love to work with you in figuring out what would be a good use of your space. If College of the Desert is unable to meet these reduced space allocations on the Palm Desert campus, we would like you to consider whether or not we could be part of your use of the Westfield Mall. We believe that the 3 classrooms and reception area there are only partially used. We could be incorrect on that, but that's our understanding. If LIR would be permitted to lease or sublease the COD mall space at the same rate and the same terms as COD, then we could operate our successful program and even donate some of that space back to College of the Desert. We wouldn't be using it all the time. There would be, again, a way to accommodate our schedule, your schedule, maximize the use of that space, and it could be donated back to the College of the Desert because we would be paying our full sublease or however that financial arrangement would be made. Downline, we believe that there are revenue options for College of the Desert with us, either by rental of the rooms or by subleasing the space. And if LIR wanted to expand to Palm Springs, and any new COD facility there would have an immediate source of LIR revenue. As College of the Desert expands, we can expand with you. Our program is local and is proprietary, and we know that that's a consideration for College of the Desert. Retiring COD faculty might be encouraged to teach LI offerings and thereby continue their affiliation with College of the Desert after they leave their full-time posts. And LIR could consider making donations as a potential donor to the COD Foundation. So there are lots of options that we see for revenue and for extending goodwill. Lastly, we believe that LIR sends an inspiring message to COD students when they see other students who might look like their parents or their grandparents and shows us still enjoying a lifelong love of learning. So thank you for your consideration of the topic this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Mr. Greg Plunkett in recognition of women's golf team.
Good morning, members of the board. I'm Gary Plunkett, your athletic director, and I have with us today our 2014 state championship women's golf team. We're so proud of what they accomplished this season. They completed the perfect season. They were undefeated, winning 3 invitational tournaments, going undefeated in the Orange Empire Conference, winning the Southern California Regional Championship, and then winning the state championship in Morro Bay. And what I also want to recognize that head coach Gary Sabella right here was named Orange Empire Coach of the Year. And Fumika Matsumoto was named most valuable player, MVP of the Orange Empire Conference. And I'd like Coach Sabella to introduce his assistant coach and 3 players. We had 3 members of the team. The rest are in class this morning. Coach?
Thank you for having us here. I'd like to introduce Ray Rogers, who was our assistant coach this year, and it was a tremendous help to me. As Mr. Plunkett mentions, Fumika Matsumoto was the most valuable player excuse me, in our conference. She was all conference, obviously, and MVP, so she had a terrific season, led everyone. There were 9 colleges in our conference, so there were quite a few players. And next to her is Chantel McCarthy. Chantel is her second-year player, was all conference this year also. Unfortunately, we'll lose her. Fumika will be returning. And then our team captain holding our trophy, Samantha Stewart. Samantha, unfortunately, will be losing her as well. She was our captain, all conference and all state. So we appreciate you having us here, and Mr. Plunkett being new, and I was new. We were a pretty good team. He was very supportive of us, and we appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you again for the time, and we're looking forward to a great season again next year. Thank you.
We did have 8 members on our team. Unfortunately, they had class conflicts, so they would have been here as well. But these were 3 of my starters, so anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Okay, at this time, because there's no further public comments, we'll have the reading of the proclamation for Black History Month, and it will be read by Antoinette Cabrew. Is that close?
Yes, it's very close.
You can correct it for me.
Good morning, members of the board.
Good morning.
Good morning. Whereas in 1921, Carter G. Woodson, father of Black history, established the Association for the Study of Afro-American Life History in Washington, D.C., which began the practice of observing the history of African Americans in the month of February. And whereas the month was selected because Presidents George Washington and Abraham Lincoln were born in February, as well as Frederick Douglass, great abolitionist and orator. And whereas within the entire Coachella Valley, the history and culture of African Americans are being recounted and celebrated by all people who understand the significance of one's history to one's humanity. And now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Desert Community College District, at its board meeting of February 11, 2015, acknowledge the contributions of African Americans, and proclaims February 2015 as Black History Month. Be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees encourages observance of Black History Month throughout the entire Desert Community College District. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we will hear the reading of the proclamation for Career and Technical Education Month read by, is it Denise Mino? Mino. Right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Denise Mino, and I am currently enrolled in the College of the Desert Human Resource Generalist Certificate Program with an emphasis in computers. I have already learned so much in such a short period of time. It has been a challenge after over 25 years to come back to school, but with the determination and effort on both my part and the professors, I should be able to achieve the certificate by the end of the semester with a 4.0 GPA. These wonderful programs have given me real-world learning opportunities. I am here to represent the student body to show you how important the career and technical education programs are to us and how it will make us more appealing to the job market. By promoting the Career and Technical Education Month, you will be providing students with local, work-based learning opportunities, making us more desirable for hire, which will stimulate growth in our local economy. Therefore, I am here to read the Career and Technical Education Month proclamation. Proclamation Career and Technical Education Month. Whereas the month of February has been designated Career and Technical Education Month by the Association for Career and Technical Education, and whereas career and technical education is academically rigorous and relevant instruction themed around industry-based skills and knowledge, and whereas career and technical education provides Americans with a school-to-career pathway and is the backbone of strong, well-educated, highly skilled workforce, which fosters productivity in business and industry and contributes to America's leadership in the global marketplace. And whereas career and technical education gives students experience in contextualized application of basic skills such as reading, writing, and mathematics, thus improving the quality of their education. And whereas career and technical education offers individuals lifelong opportunities to learn new skills and earn industry-recognized certifications while providing students with local work-based learning opportunities in their chosen industry sector. And whereas the ever-increasingly cooperative efforts of career and technical educators, business, and industry stimulate the growth and vitality of our local economy, and that the entire nation, by preparing graduates for career fields, forecast to experience the largest and fastest growth in the next decade. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Desert Community College District and its board meeting February 11th, 2015 proclaims February 2015 as Career and Technical Education Month. Be it therefore further resolved that the Board of Trustees encourages observance of Career and Technical Education Month throughout the entire Desert Community College District and urges all citizens to become familiar with the services and benefits offered by the Career and Technical Education Program in this district and to participate in the program to enhance their individual work skills and productivity, and to support these programs by becoming advisory group members, contributors, or providers of work-based learning opportunities, and most importantly, employers of the graduates. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, another item that I will make an announcement about is that Ms. Micheline Gallagher, Director of Education and Environmental Programs, Sunnyland Center and Gardens, will make a presentation under public comments at 1:30 p.m. today. At this time, we will have the introduction of new full-time staff. President.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to introduce a new person, Sherry Willis. She's our Executive Director of Educational Technology. And Sherry, would you like to come forward? I'm gonna embarrass her a little bit. So I'm very, very pleased that Sherry's been able to join us. I know that I've mentioned to the trustees that Sherry is very well known statewide, and she's already embarrassed, blushing. And probably the most professional expert in IT for community colleges in the nation. So we're very, very lucky to have her.
Wow, do I have a lot to live up to?
You do. That's why I teed it up for you.
But I do consider myself very fortunate being here at College of the Desert, and I would like to thank all of you for the opportunity to work here. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, at this time, the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes of the regular meeting of January 16th, 2015, or the special meeting of February 2nd, 2015? If there are no further corrections or no corrections to the minutes, they stand approved as read or printed.
But the thanks for how well done they were.
Yes.
I will note they were very well done. Reports, Ascot, Associate Students for COD, John Cepeda. Oh, we don't have John
Look
today.
like John?
We have a very special guest in his place.
John would like to apologize for not being able to be here today. My name is Tish Lacey, Vice President of ASCOD. Good morning, Madam Chair, board members, senior administration, and distinguished guests. The following is the ASCOD report for the month of February. The ASCOD Student Senate will be moving to present the ASCOD smoking policy recommendations to the College Planning Council. The ASCOD Food Services Survey will be sent out to students soon. The ASCOD Honor Program Task Force has finished their initial research and will be looking to meet with Executive Vice President Anna Davies. The ASCOD will be hosting the Teens for Genes Drive on campus today, February the 11th, in the Beeps Quad from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The genes will be given to local youth in our community who needs them. ASCOD will be attending the Region 9 meeting this Friday at Crafton Hills. Club Rush will be on Tuesday, February the 18th, and Wednesday, February 19th at the Beeps Quad from 10 to 2. The theme will be historical people to help students understand where each club is coming from. ASCOD is standing by their decision on the math curriculum changes based on the decrease in success rates after the lab was added to Math 40. We look forward to hearing your decision, and we know that you will do what you feel is best for the students and the college as a whole. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a fantastic 4-day weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Tish.
you.
Now we'll hear from College of the Desert Foundation, Jim Hummer.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I did place the annual report. You may have already received it at your seats. And everybody's heard about Brian Stokes Mitchell and the master class that's going to happen next Tuesday, and then also on Wednesday, the performance. But I want to take a minute and talk about what makes the foundation successful. And one of the things that makes it so successful is the leadership at the College of the Desert. And that includes you and four shining stars that I believe the College of the Desert is lucky to have. Not only President Joel Kinnaman, Executive Vice President Anna Davis, Lisa Howell, and Diana Worth. Now, why can I say that? I've had a background in over 10 years in the public sector working for local governments. I had 28 years of private sector experience running my own company. I also have been in the classroom and taught at the University of Arizona as a professor. I can honestly say this is the most competent, responsive, and forward-looking leadership management group that I have worked with in my 40-year professional career. And I think you should be considered very lucky to have the individuals you have working for you. Now, the foundation was very successful with the 30-30 campaign last year. Of course, we raised $3.5 million with a goal of $3 million. And the community responded to that. And the question becomes why? They responded to that not only because of me being as proud as I am of the board I have, but also my staff, Peter, Jan, Kippy, Liz, who all worked very hard on it. But also because the projects that were identified came from the bottom up. They came from the faculty and the management leadership group and the deans, and that became the crux of what we could do out in the community. The second important element was the students and our success stories that you see in the paper all the time. We're able to tell those stories. Now, donors look at this as an investment. They don't just give money. This is an investment in the future. And the biggest thing that can kill those efforts is bureaucracy and dissension. And the dissension spreads, and it gets to the community, and they hear about it. And then the question becomes, will they continue to invest? I, as an investor, would have some serious questions about investing in a company with that kind of questionable, say, actions. I'm going to point out one in particular, the Faculty Innovation Center. This was an idea that was forwarded to us, formulated by the faculty, for the faculty, and came to me over a year ago. We worked, and there's a dollar amount very specific at $349,000. Why that? I don't know. I'd probably make it 4 or 5, but it came from the bottom up. And now, in attempting to implement an agreement with the donor, I've come to hear that the faculty is saying, well, gee, we don't know about it, and we haven't participated in it, and what is it? And I'm going, wait a minute, folks, this is an idea that was formulated by you, it was defined by you, and it was given to me to raise the money. And I've heard and seen the emails and the issues, et cetera, about it. One thing I want to be clear with all of you is that I have a responsibility to the college, you, to my boss, Joel Kinnaman, to the foundation board and Donna Jean Darby, the faculty and the students. More importantly, I have a fiduciary responsibility to the donors. If for some reason the donation is made directed by the donor to do something and we can execute, I'm going to need to tell that donor. It'll be egg on my face and the college's face. We need to move that along. We need to execute it. I committed to have it done by May of this year, and I can tell you as I sit here today, outside of a location and the efforts of Anna Davies to get it going, we still are mired. We are a team, and we got to continue to act like a team. There's no I in team. I'll leave you with that. Other than that, hopefully to see all of you at Brian Stokes Mitchell Masterclass, and then Wednesday night at the performance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll hear from the Academic Senate, Douglas Redmond, please.
Thank you. Good morning. I took some time over the last few weeks to look back over the year as it related to my role as Academic Senate President. Here are my thoughts pertaining to academic and professional matters at College of the Desert. There's an erosion occurring, an erosion of the very foundation of who we are at College of the Desert, an erosion emanating from the top levels of administration. We are not like any of the other 112 community colleges in the state. We serve a unique population, a unique community, and unique students. We are small and growing. We're a family. We care about each other. Our rich history and our core values, values like transparency, collaboration, respect, and helping out the other guy or gal. We value people, the students, the staff, the administration, and our fellow faculty. But there's an erosion of those values. There are decisions being made without proper consultation, decisions that appear to support student success but fall short, and in many cases, it's a facade. Over the last year, faculty have shared with me, as the Senate President, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Things that are working and things that aren't. Lately, I get more input about the things that aren't working. Next week, the Senate will be conducting a climate survey to gather input and take our temperature on the growing concerns. The remainder of my report supplies specific and detailed examples of some of the most pressing, most disconcerted issues, including but not limited to communication and transparency, the Faculty Innovation Center, math course approval process, SERP, academic calendar, hiring practices. Thank you for taking the time to read and consider my report, and thank you for your support of the faculty at College of the Desert.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Faculty Association, Denise Steinman.
Thank you.
Good morning. The faculty have ratified the contract that was negotiated in 2014 and began last spring. The association recommends to the board to approve the contract that gives a one-time bonus and a slight increase in health benefits. Chief Negotiator Jeff Hagopian, math faculty, and team members Fred San Giorgio in counseling, Dustin Cullen in math faculty, and Karen Tabor in math faculty are to be commended for their professional analysis, dedication, and endurance to the bargaining process on behalf of faculty. We will begin the bargaining process for the contract, which expires this June almost immediately. The bargaining process for working conditions, wages, and benefits is the process that the college staff and all faculty, that is 90% of the college, participate in. It is a mutual process with the district. The district signs the contract and bears equal responsibility for abiding by it. We strongly recommend the district take this responsibility of the contract more seriously. We look forward to the next bargaining session with improved scheduling and analysis. As the board has heard before, health benefits, which all employees share, are number one in importance. The bargaining team represented progressive formulas for improving the calculations of health benefits for the good of all groups. We realize that the district has the least skin in the game, and so as we approach this new bargaining session, it is important for the board to recognize that health benefits are in fact the one area that we join in on as a campus-wide concern. I didn't know the board would be pulling the academic calendar from its consent agenda. I would direct the board to the contract language, which is in the contract about the academic calendar, which defines the number of flex days that are allowed, which was the reason why perhaps there was some discussion around the academic calendar draft and some possible solutions to it, and the executive board has analyzed and voted and recommended to the district that we keep to the terms of the contract, and if they need to adjust the number of 3-unit classes in their time frame so that they comply with the Chancellor's office in the fall schedule, we should in fact do so as promptly as possible. We understand that the TRIO contracts have come up for renewal, and we understand that that process means that some of our faculty get notices, and that their renewal contracts, we look forward to them being renewed. We understand that we may have 2 part-time SSSP faculty, and we would hope that that actually could turn into a full-time position because counseling desperately needs it, as does the entire community college. The board is probably aware that a new CERP has been offered by the district. Those who are eligible, myself included, have received the information from the district and have less than 1 month to make our decision. The association's perspective on this topic includes concerns, deep concerns, about replacing those who retire in a timely manner with the least disruption to programs and to students. We've already experienced what can happen. In the future, if the district proposes a CERP, we strongly recommend that they do so in the fall semester. The rest of your packet includes information, very specific information on a range of topics, including our lack of eligibility 2 years in a row for HSI and Title V, and a massive grant in the region, multi-million-dollar grant. It includes updates and emails on grievances and mediation. We strongly support the President's 2-year goal under teamwork, organizational development, to foster participatory team management orientation that supports and enhances collaboration, consultation, and governance process. We are not finding that that is what is going on. There are some specific insights into the Faculty Innovation Center. I can tell the board that very few faculty have had a discussion about the Innovation Center, and when that coordinator position came to the association, we had to start with, can you please show us the documentation so we understand what we're attempting to do here, and to understand this process and the documentation. The documentation about the specifics did not come in October when requested under EERA. Only part of it did, and only recently arrived through the efforts of the Senate to get the full disclosure of what is it that we are talking about so that we can best address exactly how this needs to be done. As you know, the association does have the right to discuss any coordinator positions, the job description, and the release time related to it. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we'll hear from California School Employees Association, CSCA, Laurel Jimenez, please.
Good morning to our trustees, administration, faculty, staff, students, and esteemed guests. Public Employee Relations Board issued a complaint for both unfair labor practices that CSCA has filed. PERB has issued notice to district and to CSCA to attend an informal conference. In that notice, PERB states, at the conference, parties should be prepared to reach a settlement agreement or reduce the number of outstanding issues. If no settlement is reached, a formal hearing will be scheduled by PERB. As I have previously reported to the board, CSCA has attempted to resolve issues prior, during, and after filing, and even after PERB issued complaints. The district continues to spend public funds on legal fees. Today, you are approving in your consent agenda purchase orders that are listed for over $25,000 in payments, one for just under $40,000 in PO 34004 for legal fees in November, and the second, PO 34520, for over $43,000 in legal fees for December. While this may relate to various matters, this is significant, and these are funds that might otherwise fund additional classes through faculty positions or support additional classified positions. Further, CSEA has attempted to resolve another issue without filing what would be a third unfair labor practice, and we have not succeeded. We would like to also address the issue of the supplemental retirement program. While this would benefit employees newly ready to retire, CSEA is very concerned about and demands to negotiate the most recent SRP. The district has verbally informed CSEA that for the SRP to result in savings for the classified bargaining unit, positions left vacant could not be filled for 3 years. This would certainly result in an impact to students both directly and indirectly. CSEA asks that the board request from administration clarification on the impacts on workload and working conditions and the indirect impacts on student success. As an elected official, I, like each of you, must rely on our constituents to whom we are ultimately responsible to make decisions to promote the welfare of those constituents and to be the most effective that we can possibly be. We must trust those we have delegated to. However, we must also drill down to confirm that we are receiving all the information to make correct, factual, and wise decisions upon that advice. I had an opportunity to attend special board of trustees meeting on board efficacy. I want to commend our chair, Trustee Stefan, for her efforts to make sure that trustees on her board are well trained. It inspires me as a leader of my own executive board to likewise provide training for my staff, my board. We were able to go to training on Saturday, and we were very glad to be able to learn the new things that involves. I was glad to be able to attend the training and to learn the perspective that the board is receiving from the lawyer that provided the training. It was very interesting. I would also like to commend Trustee Stefan and other trustees for the very professional questions that were asked regarding the Brown Act and regarding public access to these meetings. It's certainly a concern not only for my constituents, but also for the public in general, to be able to participate in the meetings of their board that have been elected by constituents from all across the valley. Though it would mean perhaps a little less access to those of us who are here, it's something that I, not only as a CSCA, but also as a member of the public and a voter, would request that the board consider allowing access to the public, West Valley, East Valley, and at times that allow it to be available for the public to present their views on the various different matters that affect this district. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you are able to enjoy the month of February and all the different celebrations, including the Date Festival. Thank you.
Thank you. And no, I did not forget College of the Desert Adjunct Association, David Bayshore. And David is not here today.
David is teaching.
He's teaching, so we have his designee.
First alternate.
The better half, right?
No, not exactly. Usually I'm the meaner one. So you're usually luckier when you get him. Things aren't going well for us, which may be why I'm here reading this to you. But we must report to the board that some important issues are not being addressed by the district. When contract negotiations were settled in August, the district and CODA agreed to pay adjuncts according to course hours, commonly called pay per course, not by classroom hours as they have been done in the past. This resolved an ongoing inequity among adjuncts as different professors got paid different amounts for the same course depending on which days of the week that they taught or what time of the day that they taught. We have sought a remedy to this problem for many years and were grateful when it was finally resolved, or so we thought. The first of our equal payments based on schedule hours was to take place the first pay period of the fall semester. This did not happen. We understood that there were some unforeseen problems and issues that needed correcting, so we acquiesced. Another one Another month went by and still no equal payments. Another month went by and another. And now, after the first pay period of the spring semester, we are no closer to a resolution than we were before. This is a clear violation of our collective bargaining agreement, and it can no longer be passed off as technical problems with the payroll process. It should be noted that many other colleges pay adjuncts this way, including several community colleges in Riverside County. So now the district has been in violation of our contract for over 6 months. We're disappointed. Another pressing issue has to do with the future closing of the current Faculty Resource Center, the FRC, in the Hill Building. While we appreciate the administration's including CODA in the early planning stages for the new FRC, subsequent changes to the plans eliminated office spaces that were to be used for faculty-student conferences. What remains in the plan now is just a workspace for computer stations, photocopiers, and mailboxes. There is no space for private conversations with students. The current FRC has 3 places for this type of meetings. Adjuncts are expected to have meetings with students outside of class. We are even paid to hold office hours. But where are we supposed to have this happen? In the hallways, in Beep's Cafe, in the parking lot, maybe in the lobby of a building? Faculty cannot have office hours without a private place to meet with students. In addition to contributing to student success, this practice of having office hours, this is both an accreditation and a FERPA issue. We are not asking for private offices for all adjuncts, but we do need shared private meeting spaces like we currently have in the Hill. To close on a slightly happier note, CODA would like to express thanks to Dr. Kinnaman and to the Human Resources Department for including adjuncts in this year's staff appreciation event during Flex. This is the first time adjuncts have received recognition for their years of service from the district and as a part of a college-wide recognition event. I know the adjunct appreciated it, and CODA was very grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from the governing board. I like to start at the far end and just keep it coming this way, if that's all right with my board. So we'll start out with student trustee Campbell.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Apologize for my tardiness. This past month, I was able to attend the special meeting, the board efficacy training, and I was able to take back a lot of information that I could apply here and also apply at the ASCOD meetings. I was able to attend the faculty and staff dinner, which I highly enjoyed, talking to some of the professors who had some time off and find out what their research was about and what they focused on during their break. I was also able to meet with a re-entry student, and I kind of guided her around campus and was a translator for some of the language from admissions and records. You know, they spoke to her, told her what she had to do, but even though it was plain English, she still didn't understand. She was like a deer in headlights, so I was able to help her and get her going. So hopefully in 2 days she'll get her access to WebAdvisor and then continue with the enrollment process. And that does conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Broughton?
I too would like to say thank you for that special meeting, special training. I think that we learned a lot, and it was good that we could participate with the presentation and the questions. Angela's not here, but I thank her for having minutes so that we could all relate and reflect our what we've learned there. I attended the foundation meeting because I'm the current representative of our board to the foundation. Again, I love Donna Jean's approach of letting us have the opportunity to know each other better so that we can work as a team more effectively. Although the reports that were given were very interesting and very factual, the most exciting part to me is the personalities and the getting to hear the stories of students, what brought them to College of the Desert, what has worked for them at the college, and what are the obstacles that they've overcome. I think it helped us as members of the college community as well as those foundation members, those people that choose to be members of this community by donating to us. It helped them truly understand the needs. Tish, that was here earlier, told us her story and how being at the college has helped her change her life once she had some challenges that were so great that she needed a support system. Now, of course, she's turned that around, and she is a support system for many. So I think that is one of the values of this college, is we have the opportunity to help our community become leaders. And through our foundation, we have the opportunity to help the leaders of our community reach out to us. So thank you, Donna Jean, for your leadership. Thank you for all those reports so that we know where the foundation is and how they're doing. I encourage everyone that can to come to the different foundation events, because it does help for those donors to get to know us, but more important is that they get to know our students. So I thank you for those opportunities. Anna and I had a chance to meet with some of our agricultural directed community out at the Mecca Thermal campus. We met with someone, and a representative from the UC Davis Extension Service, and we talked about some of the needs of that community, of the East Valley. We had some good brainstorming about how to get feedback, appropriate feedback from that community as to what those students, those potential students, need and what they could work from. Among those thoughts were what I call portable skills that these students will learn while they're on our campuses, can carry with them and build upon them. So things that, as we were talking about certificates and job training today, we often forget that those skills are carried along with us as we go into life, and we use them not only to build our career, but also to build our pocketbook so we can continue with our education. So I thank you, Anna, for your time and for all the work that was done arranging that meeting. We've tried for several years to make that meeting work, and it actually did, so that was great. So again, I thank you for all of that, and I thank our staff and our college community for all that hard work that they do. I'm going to be, as you all know, involved in the fair for the next 10 days, so I hope that you come out and see us and have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Broughton. Trustee O'Neill?
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to just thank Dr. Socio and the Faculty Staff Development Committee for their great work on the Flex. I found the calendar to be very much improved. The activities covered a wide spectrum of options. I just found it was a very good flex schedule this semester, and they keep getting better and better. And I know it's a lot of work, so I appreciate everybody who was involved in that process. I sit on the Health and Welfare Committee as the retiree rep, and I want to thank everybody who participates in that committee. There's a lot of talent that goes into that room, and that group works very hard in developing not only our benefits package, but also right now working on a new plan, which I know Vice President Howell is very excited about, and that is the beneficiary trust that we're establishing for our GASP money. And we had our second and final presentation this past month, and hopefully we will have a recommendation to the board in March, maybe. We're shooting for as soon as possible because, as I think you remember from my prior presentation, we have $7 million sitting in that fund, sitting in the county, making 0.0001% interest when we could be doing much better. And that fund could be self-sustaining, and it would free up other funds to be used for other activities in the college. I think well, as I said, I'm on the committee as a retiree rep. I would suggest to the board in future years, when I'm no longer the retiree rep, that you have a board member on the committee, perhaps not as a voting member, but I think that benefits and health and welfare play such a crucial role in the college environment. And I think it's consistent with the special training that we had 2 weeks ago, so that we're aware of the critical issues. And that is a critical issue. And I think it would be good that in future years, a trustee attend those meetings to gather information, not to dictate, not to tell, but to gather, to listen, to hear, present some information when appropriate. So I would suggest you keep that in mind for upcoming years. We also had a presentation that day from Mark Carrier, our broker, Alliant, Paul LeBeau, regarding the Affordable Care Act, which does impact us, and will potentially have some costs that are associated for this district. So I think as we move along that path, that information will need to come to the board so you have a better understanding of how this is all going to impact us. And there are impacts. And I'm sure Lisa will be happy to share that with us. Maybe not. The board efficacy in labor negotiations, I want to thank Dr. Kinnaman and Dr. Stefan for that. It was a very well spent 4 hours and very informative, and I think we all benefited from that training. I was glad that Laura was there, and I think it was good that you see both sides. Everybody gets to see both sides of the negotiation process. I also had the great honor of attending the foundation celebration of legacy donors, which was held at Morningside last week. It seems like the days are all running together, right, Donna Jean? I don't know how she does it, but she does. And that was an outstanding event. We had 3 speakers, Mrs. Hilb, and Mr. Pollack, and Mr. and Mrs. Denkler. And they are all legacy donors, and what that means is that they have in their estate planning set aside money in their wills, for want of a better word, trusts, for College of the Desert. Unfortunately, we didn't tape the event, and hopefully we can have those individuals repeat their speeches, perhaps in appropriate environments here on campus. They were extremely moving. It was information that all of us should hear, because what you have are individuals who have been so impacted by what we do, and you forget about that impact that we have in the general community. And to hear these stories is so moving that we have such this tremendous impact in the community. And I hope we can record those and get them, and maybe perhaps I had a title for this group, make them our legacy ambassadors. And this is information that could be shown. It humanizes it to potential donors. So I would highly encourage we do that. And again, thank you, Donna Jean, for inviting us. And lastly, we also attended the Opera Guild celebration, Singing the Praises, where one of our major donors, whose name appears on this building, Praggy Cravens, was the honoree, and that was Friday night. And that was a very, very interesting, great evening, and a good experience for us all. So thank you, and that's all my report.
Thank you, Trustee O'Neill. Now we'll hear from Trustee Wilson.
Well, I would like to agree with most of the comments said by my colleague here, because we attended some of the same events. Do want to, again, thank you for all the hard work during Flex. I particularly enjoyed the service awards. I enjoyed the AB 86 presentation that was done at the Indio Satellite Campus. And also the presentation by there was separately a presentation by HOSA students at the 2015 Winter Internship Student Project presentation that was in the Mesa Center. They did excellent presentations on projects that are affecting the health of residents here in the Coachella Valley, including presentation on particle emissions from restaurants, hydrogen selenide in the Salton Sea, and one on robotics. So a lot of hard work and good presentations by the students. Thank you so much. Again, thank you for the board workshop. President Kinnaman was excellent. Really, really appreciate it. And I always appreciate the local opportunities for continued learning that trustees have, and particularly because it allows us an opportunity to hear each other and to dialogue and share with my colleagues, so, and as well with the administration. So thank you. I am on the board of the Friends of the COD Library, and so I attended a meeting this past month. This Saturday is the 45th Annual Author Luncheon at the Rancho Las Palmas. The guest author is Maggie Shipstead, who is the author of 2 novels, including Astonish Me and Seating Arrangement. And all the funds will go to the COD Library. I too attended a Foundation Legacy meeting at Morningside. The Wilson family does have a scholarship fund with the foundation. And thank you to Peggy Cravens and Penny Bauman for hosting the event, and of course to their fearless leader, Donna Jean, and agree that the Legacy Ambassadors works great as a name, so thank you. In my district, College of the Desert is a member of the Redevelopment Successor Agency oversight committees for the cities of Indian Wells and Rancho Mirage. I was asked to attend these meetings, and I was sworn in. And again, for those of you, these committees are the city's responses to the elimination of redevelopment and the redevelopment agencies. So again, I was sworn in for both of those committees. I attended the Foundation Scholarship reception that was just held on Monday at the new gym, great gym. Joining me was one of my late husband's children, Scott Wilson. And the Wilson family are donors with the Roy and Pat Wilson Memorial Scholarship. And we met one of the recipients of the scholarship, who is a nursing program student. So thank you so much to the foundation for putting that event together. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Wilson. And now we'll hear from Trustee Sanchez-Fulton.
First of all, Madam Chair, excuse me for my voice, so just try to keep it short. I too attended that event at the foundation, but I want to mention 2 students from my district that were so grateful for their COD scholarship and what the impact in their lives. He's a current student here at COD as an art student and is also now giving back to our community and participated in that Orca mural project. So giving these opportunities to these students, they reciprocate that and give it right back to our community. So it's so important that we have and continue to change the lives of our students because they're so involved in our community, our own students. Also attended the board efficacy training. I thought that was very worthwhile, excellent training. I want to thank Angela Joel and also the law firm that trained us. I think it's really critical for open and transparency for the districts and the communities we serve, making sure that we're policymakers and making sure that the day-to-day operations are being done. So I really appreciated that, and I'd like to see more trainings on that here locally. The Flex workshops were amazing, especially one that I attended was that AB 86, I believe, and it was regarding the role that the College of the Desert is leading. It's wonderful when we bring public and private partnerships, and having representatives from our K-12 also there, and Riverside County Education. This is what we're about, is creating these public and private partnerships throughout the Riverside County. It's wonderful, and the presentation of our MESA students, amazing. One thing that Aurora forgot to mention, which I have to say about our students, they discovered certain scientific models that are going to be brought forth to UCR. So I really these are our scientists that we're creating. So College of the Desert has these students that maybe will cure cancer one day. It's just amazing that they're finding things, and this is what we need to do, is math and science. That's our role as our college. It was amazing because they found certain items that were never found before, and these are our COD students. So it was great to hear that analysis. Also, spoke to another student in my district and mentioned he's excited to enroll at the Desert Hot Springs High School. He doesn't have a car, and it takes him about 4 hours to come here. So having those classes and more, I just want to give thanks to the people who work so hard to bring those classes out to the Mecca communities, out to the outer and Palm Springs High School that don't have transportation to come and take. So I really appreciate all our staff that are giving that opportunity to a lot of people who are unable to do so. I'm really proud to have attended the Martin Luther King celebration and prayer breakfast along with the congressman. He was the keynote speaker. It was absolutely amazing. And we as a college are doing so much for helping our community and making access to everyone in here in the Coachella Valley. It was absolutely, and I'm looking forward to participating as always of the Black History Parade in Palm Springs. We're going to have, I just want to tell everyone, having our outreach van out there and meeting with the community means a lot to students. Believe it or not, we make a difference when we're out there and we talk to someone that college is possible for them. It's hard to believe that we're in 2015 and there's people still not thinking they have access to a college education. So it's great. We do a lot of outreach. Our financial team has done something what we call Cash for College. I've been attending several of those events at our high school. Our team at COD is just, I see them, they're helping them out, they're working, we're doing these partnerships at Cathedral City High School. We just had some at Desert Hot Springs, we had some at Coachella, and we're going to be having more of them throughout the Coachella Valley. Creating this partnership through the K-12 is wonderful because they know it's possible and they see a face. What I'd like to see is more COD, maybe a call out to our COD students and student government to come out and let them know, because I think when they hear us adults, they don't listen to us. So I would love to see more of maybe student ambassadors coming out and talking with our financial aid team. I think that would give it a little more. Attended, well, just two things, if I may, Madam Chair. I really look forward to attending the COD play, Jack, for all of us. It's going to be, it's written and directed by our very own Tress and Noemi Dean. Admissions is $10. It's February 27th and 28th. Please come out and support Jack at the Pollock Theater, 7 to 9:30. Also, I'm looking forward to attending today, Wednesday, the CVEP and Money for College event. I think it's very critical that we have these public and private partnerships with the Coachella Valley. Also, want to mention and give a shout out to the Dr. Carleone Scholarship. I think it's very important that Dr. Carleone, if you notice, he is the pedigree of the Coachella Valley. So Aurora also serves on the advisory board, and I think it's really wonderful. I want to extend an invitation, February 20th at 5:30, scholarship fundraiser. If you have any information, please contact. And that's going to be a further. I'm sorry. I came barely alive here. I'm looking forward to attend Club Rush and maybe have like a booth from our board to come meet with the students. A lot of our students don't even know who the Board of Trustees. I think it would be great if someone would come out and we have a table saying, this is who we are, and someone maybe from the foundation, Baba Jean, just for our students to know who we are and the great work you do and the great work this board, so they get to know us. A lot of them don't know who we are. Thank you so much for allowing me that extra time, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, and that leaves me. First off, I wanted to wish everyone a very happy Valentine's Day. I'm putting on my rose-colored glasses for a purpose. Many times when I come out to the campus, I look at the campus through rose-colored glasses. And I'm out here for very short periods of time, and I see all the wonderful things that happen. And then I start hearing things that aren't so wonderful, so my rose-colored glasses come off. I'll start, though, with some of the niceties. We had the ethics training. I think every member of the board and one member of our audience there felt like they came away with something they didn't know before. I was glad to see that when we were talking about labor negotiations, we weren't just talking about negotiations, which always becomes heated. And if you know where I work, you know how heated it can become. I won't say any more on that. But we started out with efficacy. Because if we start from the perspective that we are a team as a board, we are a team as a college, all of the groups are a team, it works, whether it's negotiations or it's obstacles that we have to overcome or it's writing those extra reports. And I got nominated by my school to write one of those, lengthy reports or help out with it. So you can pity me tonight. The other thing is, I asked the board to please, I put you in pairs to meet with one of our members of our cabinet, and I had asked Joel to have them line up some training for you and to arrange dates. I would like to have the first round of those trainings completed by the end of April. That's a third of the way through, basically. And what it amounts to is 2 hours with your one member of the cabinet that you were assigned to for the first round. And it is to look at our college and their specialty, okay? And they set up the guidelines. They're providing the training. I would prefer that, because I'm requesting approximately 2 hours of training, that it be done in 2 separate sessions, because I think that I know when I walked away from the efficacy training, I had a lot more questions the next day. When I sleep on something, my brain sometimes functions. And I think that that happens probably with all of us. I know it does with my students. I can tell a joke today, tomorrow they'll walk in and they'll say, oh, I got it. Okay, but the point I want to make is we need to get moving on those. So if you could set something up, I know we all have very, very busy schedules. That's why I'm asking you to start now on that. The other thing is policy. Today we have a board policy coming before us that when it was read through by board members, they found it confusing. When it was looked at, the dates, the review dates, they thought were out of sequence for review. All of us have a binder on board policy. So what I'm asking for all of us to do is we should be very familiar with our policy. That should be our guiding principle as board members. And what I'm asking is I would like to have Trustee Wilson and Trustee O'Neill, if you don't mind, to look specifically at the board policies, make sure they're all updated, make sure also that those that are very pertinent to the board itself, that they are very clear. I know that having been on this board since 1999, gosh, that makes me an antique, doesn't it? Some things over 20 years old are antiques, I hear, and I'm close to that now. The languages change. Things in our society change. So some of the things that are very clear to me might not be very clear to people that are just joining our board. And I know Trustee O'Neill, they might be clear to you because you may have been here when we reviewed them in the last time in a different capacity. Your capacity would have been different. But for people that are new, it's important that they're very clear, and they should be clear to the public as well. So if you would please work on that, because everybody has their own board policy packet binder that's bigger than this one. And if you don't, please check with Angela. I just want to mention a couple more things. I listened to all the things that everybody says in their reports, and today we're doing our board evaluation, and we'll be going over some other things. I want to thank the foundation for all of the hard work. I was only able to get to one of your events this last month. That was the donors and scholarship winners reception. And I met a young man there that comes all the way from Morongo. He carpools. And if he ever contacts you, President Kinnaman, I told you told him to contact you if he ever needs to get a hold of me for any assistance I can give him. But he was one of our scholarship winners, and I think it speaks volumes of us, because there is a community college closer to where he lives, but to get the courses he needs, to get the education he desires, he is making the extra effort to come down here. And that program, I go away having listened to those stories, and I'm always in tears. Both the stories, not only from the scholarship winners, but also from the donors. And it is just the most heartwarming thing, and I hope all of those will become public access in our Stepping Up for COD, because they are stories that need to be told, as many more do as well. And with that, I am going to stop and wish you all happy Valentine's Day. I have to take these off because I have to run the meeting now. I'm sorry. Meeting isn't always that much fun. Administrative reports. Superintendent President, Dr. Kent.
Thank you. And I'd like to, if I may, Madam Chair, I'd like to do a couple of other items before we go into my report. And first, I would like to share with everybody that we've got this great recognition. It's a Run Smarter Award, and it's called Laserfish is the name of the company, honors College of the Desert for the exceptional use of Laserfish software to reach new heights of efficiency and productivity. Chris Wacker, Chairman and CEO of Laserfish. And this was for our work in financial aid, I believe, or?
Yeah,
NAR?
Enrollment Services
Enrollment
Department.
Services. And so, copy of the plaque. So, do you want to add anything to that?
No, just to congratulate the staff and the managers and leaders that helped implement this project. It is quite an amount of work that they've done to help try to expedite workflow and make forms available to students online so that they don't have to stand in line and process paperwork. So, the staff and faculty, the staff in the Enrollment Services Department, in partnership with the managers and Dr. Neary, really did great work in this area.
And it helps
Great.
us reach out.
It helps.
I'd also like to introduce another new employee, Monica Lopez, that is a counselor joining us. So Monica, please come up and say hi. And I apologize for not doing this earlier.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I am very happy to be here. I became a part of the COD family in August 2011, then moved on to be an adjunct counselor, and 2 weeks ago now I'm a full-time counselor. I'm very happy and very excited, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. And I'm not in my report yet, okay? I also would like to just draw your attention to some new materials. It's materials for high school completion, and I'll give you a copy of these packets. And it's increased our interest in high school completion and our GET test preparation, and it's also bilingual. And so I want to give you a copy of the materials, and I don't know if you have anything else you would like to add to that.
Yeah, I'll just add that through the collaboration between our Admissions and Records Department, Enrollment Services, and our non-credit programs, these materials have been developed, and they are the first marketing materials that we've specifically used to target communities seeking ESL, GED, adult high school completion. And so I really want to congratulate the staff and the faculty, Ty Thomas, department chair over that area, for working to focus in on this particular population. And so I'm really proud of the fact that we're able to pass these out in the community now, and we have a very clear branded marketing program going on for non-credit programs, which I believe is a contributor to the result, contributed to the result of higher enrollments in those programs this semester.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very
Okay,
good.
great. And since we are less than 5 minutes out, and I need at least 5 minutes, I would like to postpone my report if I could till we return.
All righty.
Okay. Thank you.
If there's no objections, Trustee O'Neill saying, no. I don't know if it might be appropriate, since the consent agenda, we may be able to fill in if there's no objections and approve the consent agenda. If there's no agenda, all items on the consent agenda will be considered for approval by a single vote without discussion. Any board member may request that an item be pulled from the consent agenda to be discussed and considered separately in the action agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
You do?
And a second. And please remember that we did pull Human Resources, item number 10, the academic calendar 2015-2016, and it will be brought back next month. Yes.
Can I make a few comments?
Yes.
In the consent agenda in employment group C in HR 1, there are a lot of action sheets that say see attached, but in our backup there is no attached. So while a sentence, I know sometimes it's difficult to narrow everything down. At least a few comments would help because we don't have the backup. And so we are voting on stuff that we really don't
Would you
know.
like to pull those?
No, I just want for future. I think we shouldn't, I don't think we should have something coming to the board that says see attached when it's not there.
I concur. I think it's very critical, especially if it's a consent agenda, because when I clicked, it didn't, yes, excellent.
Okay. And my other thing is I want to thank all those people who volunteered. Volunteers are very critical. I know when I was in charge of disabled student services, we had a number of volunteers, and they've performed many, many services that are very beneficial to our students. And lastly, as we always say, it's very important for us to recognize our donors who give us gifts, especially an electric car, which is in this month's packet, and I think we need to thank those individuals also.
I think we should, Madam Chair, may I say something? I would like to thank our partnerships with, we had the 11th Annual Expo here, we were hosting it and building these public partnerships at the Golf Center. It was the Pete Carlson Golf and Tennis Expo that was at our Golf Center. So just want to mention that as well, the great collaborations we're doing with our community. Thank you.
Okay, back to consent agenda. Is there any other thing anyone would like to add?
Madam Chair, on the academic calendar, just to again make you aware that the vice chair and your clerk will not be here next month, and you've offered that we can provide you comments.
You can send comments to Angela, and she can give them to me at the meeting so that I can read them into the minutes.
Okay. All right.
Your comments and
All
your
right.
thoughts
Thank
on
you.
that. Okay.
Great.
Okay, anything else? Seeing none, all in favor, or wait, excuse me, Student Trustee Campbell.
Aye.
And all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carried unanimously. We have concluded consent agenda. At this time, we will be recessing for closed session, and we will be reconvening at 1:30 when Ms. Mickaleen Gallagher will be here from Sunnylands. We're going to reconvene after our closed session. I apologize for the lateness. I should have come in and forewarned everyone that we were going over, but we were somewhat heated. So at this time, I have 3 things I need to report out. First, in closed session, a motion was made by Trustee Broughton, seconded by Trustee Sanchez-Fulton, to authorize President Kinnaman to employ Ms. Angela Meraz as Director of Upward Bound. The motion carried with 5 members voting in favor and 0 members voting in opposition. The motion carried 5-0. Second, in closed session, a motion was made by Trustee Broughton and seconded by Trustee O'Neill to approve the tentative agreement between Desert Community College District and College of the Desert Faculty Association. The motion carried with 5 members voting in favor and no members voting in opposition. The motion carried 5-0. In closed session, a motion was made by trustee Wilson and seconded by trustee Broughton to approve the adjustments to the leadership employee classifications. The motion carried with 5 members voting in favor and no members voting in opposition, and the motion carried 5-0. Now that that's done. At this time, we are very privileged to have a special guest with us today, and I would like to have Trustee O'Neill introduce our special guest, since it was at his insistence. Didn't have to twist her arm very hard.
Not at
but
all.
That's okay.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to introduce Micheline Gallagher, and I'll give you the shortened title. She is the Director of Education and Environmental Programs at the Annenberg Retreat at Sunnylands. And we are very happy to have her here today. How this came about is that at the Community College League Conference in November, which was held at the Westin Hotel, the Board of Governors had a reception at Sunnylands to which this board was invited as the host college. And I met Micheline at that event and found out there was so much going on there that we do not know about. And there's so much going on there that we are actually participating in that we did not know about. So what I decided was it would be great to have Micheline come and explain what is going on at Sunnylands, what we are doing as part of the program there, and to stimulate the staff, administration, everyone to think about ways where we could increase this cooperation, because we're very fortunate to have this incredible institution in our backyard. Actually, we surround it, and we need to be as much a part of it as we possibly can. If you have not been there, I highly recommend you go. I've been fortunate enough to take the tour of the main property twice, and it is quite an experience to walk on the same floors as a few weeks before the President of the United States and the President of China were there. So it's quite a moving experience, and I think that we have potential here to develop cooperation to expand our work with Sunnylands and our involvement of our students. So at this point, I'd like to welcome Micheline and turn over to her.
Thank you, and thank you for having me today. Sunnylands, regardless of press releases and things that we put out, a lot of our programs seem to really be flying under the radar, and so I appreciate the opportunity to show you what we are doing. What I'm going to do first is kind of go through the programming that's currently going on, listing the partners that we're already working with, and on one of the slides will be faculty that at COD that we're already working with at different capacities. And at the very end, there's one program that really was a catalyst for me coming here, because it's an immediate benefit to students here to get involved with, but there's a lot to it. So I'm going to go through the general programs first and then focus on that at the end, and then if you have any questions. I did pass out the PowerPoint, so if something catches your attention and you want to mark it at the end, I'll list all the programs again, and you can ask me specifically on those if that's helpful. So, there we go. So Sunnylands opened in 2012, and in the last 2 years, our programming began first with public tours. And that was an exclusive partnership with Cal State San Bernardino students. They make $12.50 to $13.50, depending on their level, an hour, as well as get internship credit through Cal State San Bernardino. That's the program at the end that I want to offer to COD and talk to you about as well. We do not have docents or volunteers. The Annenberg, we're carrying on that legacy of their focus on education, so the entire interpretation program is done by college-level students rather than a docent's program. There's pictures there of the shuttles that they take. It's the small tour, 7-person with 1 guide. They run every 15 minutes all day long of the historic estate and grounds. And then we also do tours of the center and gardens. The other thing that we started this year because of the visitation by the President of China, Xi Jinping, is we now have tours exclusively in Mandarin. Our attendance has gone up 20%, exclusively Chinese visitation to the valley. And so we now have students who are here from mainland China studying in the colleges who speak Mandarin, and they go through our guide program and now provide exclusive Mandarin tours as well. The other thing that we then did was we took it outside. We had a lot of requests for our garden walks, so now we do once a week, which may have to expand now. We're getting over 200 people showing up for our garden walks. They are free. Most of our programming is free. And this is just something that's grown exponentially from the first time doing it and has become a huge demand. We are also doing bird walks and tours. Kurt Leuschner is actually one of our bird guides. We have 5. I used to work at Living Desert several years ago, so I already had connections with birders in the desert and brought them in. We are the only golf course that does guided tours on the golf course. We have over 100 species of resident and migrant birds that we've documented in the last 2 years on the site. So this part of our environmental projects is taking off on both sides of the property. It's going to expand with wildlife cameras on the grounds, as well as some other programming that we've been approached on for wildlife information. We have self-guided exploration, so we do family days and programming where we put out on our Great Lawn. If you haven't been there, we have a very large circular turf area. We put out things like the parachute, hula hoops, frisbees, things the kids don't play with anymore. And it's a very much an outdoor focused activities that they can just pick up and do. We put out blocks. We put out all kinds of activities that they can just come and do, games, puzzles. We also have guided exploration. So in-house, we've created these activity boards for students. All of them relate to the gardens or to the art in some way, from our labyrinth activities to other in-house. And so they can come and do that as well. We have kiosks that have over between 6 and 8 hours of information. So students doing research projects on modernism, on architect and art can come here and sit at one of those kiosks. They're open to the public anytime we're open and get information. I mentioned our family days, so we do them on all different kinds. I brought with me my brand new art specialist, Yvonne, who's in the back. So I wanted her to come and also be a contact here. So if you have an interest in an art, she would be your direct contact person to go with. She has been brought up to speed. She's familiar with the Marx Center and with some of the opportunities that you have here. But her job is now to expand our art programming. So this is when you want to get in. So this was a sculpture day. We will be having that again on the 22nd. We have just under 10 sculptors who will be our local and some from LA coming down. It's a free family day that you can participate in. Our family days also have to do with our exhibitions. So now this year we have an exhibition on gifts. So we just did a family day that related completely to gift giving, culturally and personally. We do public lectures. Yesterday we had Stephen Wilkes, who is a well-renowned photographer. He has photographed a lot of the climate change, rising seas issues. He covered Sandy, Katrina, the BP Gulf spill, a lot of those projects. And he spoke at Rancho Mirage Library, who we partner with as the Sunnyland series. So those speaker series are also available. Our cultural programs have grown significantly. This was the first. We have a Henry Hunt totem pole. That totem pole was in bad shape when we took over. We managed to contact First Nations tribes, and we found his son, daughter-in-law, and grandson, who came down, restored the pole for us, and then rededicated it according to their customs so that the site was dedicated in an appropriate manner for that type of a totem pole to be placed there. We also had lion and dragon dancers come up for our cloisonne exhibition when we had the collection of the Annenberg's cloisonne on display, who came out. They did a public day, hands-on, taught drumming, taught how to do lion dancing to all of our visitors. And we're now partnering with Raíces Cultura, Run with Los Muertos, and the Galen for a 5-day introduction to Day of the Dead. So Palm Springs Art Museum in Palm Springs does it that first Saturday. The following week, we do programming all week. This year, we want a huge expansion. Because we're not a cemetery and we don't have that type of a celebration, we're setting up altars with themes. So we had one that was a health theme. Run with Los Muertos is going to do a health-themed one. But groups at College of the Desert can apply to us to set up an altar with these themes. We're open in the evenings for the days leading up to Dia de los Muertos. And we coordinate it so that we are not conflicting with the Raíces program, with the Run with Los Muertos. All of them are in order at different times, so people can actually spend 5 days exploring all the different aspects. This really was an opportunity for people who are not part of that culture, who are not comfortable necessarily going to the cemetery to see how that program goes, to experience it and to understand it and to feel comfortable bringing both east and west side of the valley together. It's been something we're really excited about, and it was fantastic last year. We also now have health and wellness. So every Friday at noon, we have free yoga for an hour. We use Kristen Olson from Urban Yoga in Palm Springs, who is a hoot to watch do yoga. You just go out there to enjoy her if you don't want to do the yoga. It's free. We now broke our record with 179 people out doing yoga on the Great Lawn. On Saturday, we've added Tai Chi this year. We're up to 66 people showing up for Tai Chi, and we're considering Sunday dance next year, where each week it'll be a different form of learning dance, just a way to get health and wellness moving, people moving in a fun way. So there's our 174 people out doing yoga, and then our Tai Chi groups coming out. We have music and film programs. In March, every Sunday from 11 to 1, we have free music. So you can come out, sit on the grass, wander the gardens, and listen to several different bands. We've sort of stayed away from jazz because that's pretty well covered, as is the 1960s music. But we do everything from bluegrass to these alternative rock, but really enjoyable music. We're getting a huge turnout for that. In the fall and in the spring, we actually partner with Palm Springs International Film Fest and Palm Springs Documentary Film Fest to do evening movies on the Great Lawn. That gets us out of the heat into the evening. We had 300 people showing up in the fall for those programs. And so there's a little idea of what it looks like out there. Music also includes educational programs. This last week we had a quartet from Seattle Symphony here presenting to La Quinta and to Shadow Hills High School bands. They were able to sit at an open rehearsal, make suggestions to the musicians, and when they were stuck on certain pieces that they were doing for their concert that night, students could interact in a very open way. They're a phenomenal group of musicians who's really open to that. Last year we did it and had Palm Springs High School and Cat City High School, and I will keep rotating that around to the high schools each year as they come back. We also have plein air in the gardens. Every month we have a different, either a Wednesday or Saturday when we're not open to the public on Wednesday, and Saturday we are open to the public, where artists can come and have their own time in the gardens to paint. We were asked for instruction, so this year we have added an art critique class, a sketch class, a watercolor, and an oil color on different days for artists to come in the gardens. They're pretty much, as you can see, given free run of the place on the days when the public's not there, which is what they were asking for. We have a partnership with Epicenter. We started doing the Shakeout, California Shakeout program. This is Lincoln Elementary School here, having a relay race to see who could put together the best emergency pack in the least amount of time. And so we open to the public that day. We do an actual on-site drill. This year we will add first responders to that drill and one of the high school medical classes for the situation of missing students and injured participants. But this now has grown, so it's gone from this, where we have displays, to now working with USC and Stanford, which is Epicenter and the Quake Catcher Network. And to be clear, because I ran into a problem with this, with people misunderstanding, this has nothing to do with the Cruise early warnings detection system. It is not part of that at all. And they got a little nervous when I started talking to the schools about the Quake Catcher Network. It is not conflicting with that. This is an absolute school-based citizen science project where we will install sensors in all of the schools in the valley. They will be able to, then the students will have the curriculum, the teachers will have the training for that. They'll be able to go online and see if there's an earthquake, which sensors picked up what, and start that process. We're going to be the hub for that, for the teacher training and for the distribution of that program. So we'll start with the elementary schools, high schools, and then middle schools as well. We will also continue to do the shakeout every year. Our environmental programs are something that I'm focusing now a lot more attention on, and they're growing. So the last 2 years, we've been part of the Monarch Project. We have the largest number of Asclepias desert milkweed in the Southwest on our site, over 4,300 specimen. And so we started by tagging monarchs there and tracking that process. This year we took it out in the schools. Coachella Valley High School and Palm Springs High School are the two first high schools. Our goal ultimately is to turn this program into a community-based program where, number one, we create a milkweed corridor through the Coachella Valley, and we also give the students certain skills going along with this. We're working with the students and having them as the lead for the program. So each school is building their own habitat site. They're learning how to do the tagging and reporting and the field work, and they'll be propagating milkweed themselves. Then I'm requiring them to go out and recruit other schools, hopefully their biggest rivals, and teach them how to communicate cross-aisle communication that hopefully they will take forward if they then participate in politics in the future, and learn how to understand where the rivalries are and where the cooperation needs to be. So they will be inviting other schools to participate in different ways, not necessarily through biology, but maybe through a culinary program talking about the pollination project as it comes to the table. We're also asking them to invite another group in that will take on the process of approaching area businesses. We already have an HOA that's come to us. We didn't have to even go out to them who want in. And it is to present the program and to encourage them to become part of it and incorporate this into their landscape and allow tagging at that site and giving these students the opportunity to communicate that way with local businesses and how do you do that and learn from that. So this is Coachella, oops, am I stuck? There we are. So this is Coachella Valley High School who came out for their tagging lesson. This is someone who was not really thrilled about holding a butterfly, and it got a little bit better as she went. And then here she is actually helping to tell, oops, I missed that one, to show the next group how to do this. And so here they're documenting, this is their first day on site. And this is a group, you walk into the classroom and you try to explain what you're doing and you get the glazed over looks like, yeah, whatever. Then you get them out in the field and they're in. That's all I have to do is get them on site. So they're doing parasite load counts, they're recording the information and reporting it. Our next project that's still in-house, but will go out-of-house next, is an aquatic macroinvertebrate study that we're working on with the Xerces Society. This we've discovered in our water systems, we have a significant biological population, and this is a man-made water system. So this came out of a question that we had of, can our man-made systems actually have a biological benefit, or are we still in that mindset that only natural systems are valuable? With a large majority of California waterways and estuaries gone or redirected in some way, it's a question that I think we need to answer. So we are looking at our site. We are going to be tracking and data collecting there, and then bringing the schools in to do the same and continuing it to determine what we have in our water systems and how beneficial that is to the community. We've already discovered migratory dragonfly species coming through there, and a significant Xerces was very impressed when they came at what we had and is really interested in helping us proceed with that. 600 olive trees on the site that have historically been sprayed with a chemical to keep them from fruiting will no longer be sprayed with a chemical. And the reason is because we want olive oil. So we are going to let those fruit. This year we had our first public harvest that you can see happening here. We managed to do 200 bottles, even with a huge storm that came in that knocked down pretty much the majority of the olives were lost before the harvest. This year we're going to do it a little bit different and be able to keep those olives. And we did present our first, I'm having a little bit of difficulty, I'm not sure if this should be facing a certain way. There's our first tasting. Our staff got to be the first ones to taste the first bottle, but there's the Sunnylands olive oil that was then sold in our store and will continue to process. That's another agricultural option for students as well. We work with actually some other people that I know are at COD, working with CVEP. This is a nightlife, a program where we have for networking young professionals. It is a speaking program followed by a mixer where we have a food and drink pairing that goes with the actual program. This one we did a 3-way discussion with the Land Project out of Los Angeles, which is a Highway 10 art billboard project linking Los Angeles to Florida through Highway 10 art projects. Then we had the Coachella Walls here speaking, and we had Deborah Schwartz from the Palm Desert Art Council also speaking on public art, how it affects a community and how communities affect public art. That was the first huge success. Nightlife has been a really hard one to get the young professionals to be aware of and to come. This one we ended up with 100 people. We sold tickets night of and had to close the gates because we had so many people showing up. This one was the biggest mix we had in demographics of the art community from Palm Springs, the art community from Coachella, including the mayor of Coachella who showed up here at one site networking and talking about what they're doing on both sides of the valley. Our community outreach means that we can open up our site for organizations. We can't have fundraisers at our site. We can't do anything like that, and we can't be a venue for other organizations. But the fact that we have a golf course that we think for sustainability purposes needs to be used if we're going to maintain it, then it needs to be open. This is canine-friendly visitors and students who have physical disabilities from Cathedral City High School. They use the dogs to help them engage, and so they come to our gardens when we're closed to the public as a way for these students to interact and participate. We work with Desert Arc, First Tee, the girls' high school golf teams, and local veterans where we open up our golf course on days when we're closed to the public for those groups to come out, have tournaments, and use the site. So this is the Desert Arc team. We're now working with Special Olympics, letting our site be used for both golf and tennis practice for the upcoming July Special Olympics. Big Brothers Big Sisters was our first partner. This is our wildflower field, and we use it to document and catalog what type of pests, what type of insects we have coming through that may then impact our gardens. And so they come out twice a year and do a sweep and cataloging project with us. And that's our team for that. So we already have connections to COD. Kurt Leuschner is one of our paid birders, which is the other thing that we do have the ability to do, which is nice, is to be able to pay, not a huge amount, but I do have a budget for a lot of the programming, including the guide program that helps the students be able to give that time and get paid for that. We also have, I guess this has to be up, Nancy Mall. She comes out and works with the Great California Shakeout. Her students actually come out and do displays, and we're going to expand that this year. She and I are going to sit down and work on ways to make that bigger. And then we have also Jeff Place is here. His horticultural students come and learn how to propagate and transplant succulents and desert natives at our site. So we are already here. The best opportunity, like I said, is the guide program. Because we don't have volunteers and docents, this is a program that we do. Our tours are very small. They're only 7-passenger shuttles, and they are 90-minute tours. And we expect, I'll let you pass this around. This is their textbook. The guides actually go through a very extensive training in order to be able to do that. In 2 years of being open, we were just ranked one of the top 10 historic home tours by Voters, up with the Biltmore, and we've only been in existence for 2 years. If anyone's familiar with Janice Lyle, you know her level of professionalism and expertise. This is her baby, and she does not mess around. Those students have to go through the entire tour with her and me before they're approved to do this, and you can't fudge it. You can't just try. We will ask, if we think you're fudging it, we'll start asking questions. So I'll give you a little bit about the program. So it started as a partnership with Cal State San Bernardino. It is an independent study program, so we need a commitment from the college if we're interested in doing that. We started with communications and history departments, but it is not limited to these. We find that students in other departments have more unique ways also of talking about things. Art students talk in a different way. We could even have a student who's just passionate about golf as a guide, because they will then have that expertise and be able to talk about it in that way. So there's no limit to the departments. Hello. Okay. The students need to be able to earn credit. They're not required to. They can choose to just go for the pay and not do the internship part. Most of the Cal State San Bernardino students did, but they weren't required to. And again, they make $12.50 to $13 an hour on start. And they are paid for the training as well. Students are evaluated by Janice Lyle upon of completion, so I guarantee you it will be a good evaluation. And a very legitimate one. So we can offer this to College of the Desert. We need to establish an independent study program for it. We need to identify which departments want to participate, and we have to have a professor or somebody who's the liaison in that department for the program so that students can make sure they get those credits if they want. What we're looking for in candidates, and this is important, we found the most successful ones were ones that came from recommendations because those professors have already seen those students and know their commitment level. Our first year, not one guide missed a day of training and not one guide called in sick. We need them to be bright, willing to be constantly engaged in learning, enthusiastic towards learning, and an interest in being part of Sunnylands, committed, responsible, and reliable. We have had a couple more problems in the last 2 seasons with guides calling in sick more frequently than they should be. And we can't risk that because we don't have a large guide class. The good thing about COD students is most of them are local, whereas Cal State students are coming in from out of areas. And so we really think that the COD students will be able to offer that reliability as well. We don't need them to be perfect. We're not looking for your best speakers or your best presenters. We can handle that. We'll polish that. We will train them in that. And by the time they get through the program, they'll be fine. We want the passion. We want the responsibility. We want the reliability and commitment. So the student commitment, they have to commit for 1 school year. So starting this next September is when we need them in place. So in the spring, we're going to be looking at doing interviews. They have to commit to an 8-week Friday and Saturday, 8 hours per day for September and October. And we know that's hard, but that's a requirement. Because they're 8 hours a day training for those 2 months, if they miss one day, it's a significant loss. So we need those students. We might be able to be okay with missing one day, but a student that has a regular Friday class that says they're going to miss a half a day every Friday will not be accepted into the program. That's only the 2 months in September and October that they have to commit to that. They have to commit to providing tours from 9 to 4, Wednesday through Sunday through June, not every day, 16 hours a week. So they submit their class schedule to Kathy Carr, who runs the tour program, and she schedules them around that. Hours are flexible with their school. Their benefits are, as a new organization, there's a lot of growth potential. One of my staff that is full-time for me and the guide program came out of that program. As opportunities open up, we're an organization that does promote from within. So guides coming in have the opportunity to get a full-time permanent job in HR, in areas that are completely different than this program moving forward. Intense public speaking training. By the time they get through this, it's one thing to have a large group of people doing a tour. When you have an intimate group, you have to really be on point and be able to do that because that's the group that's going to ask questions. You get experience in an environment that incorporates collections, programs, history, preservation, communications, hospitality, golf course operations, and sustainability. And you have the opportunity to be selected to work special events like this weekend. So programs and retreats. So our staff are the first ones selected to work retreats to assist if they're looking for outside help should the president maybe ever come to the desert like 3 times in a year. It's getting to the point now where like you promised you wouldn't come back during Modernism Week. So last year it was a huge thing. We had to cancel several days of our modernism tours because we partner with them. So that's basically a quick overview. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. I also have, business cards you can take if you want to contact me at a later time. But thank you for listening.
Thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. I think that I could see the eyes and turning here. Anna was going, I can see this connecting. Carlos has already been taking notes over there. I think this has presented to us even more than I thought. You and I had talked briefly that night. There's just so much going on here, and I see some opportunities for us as a college to get involved with this. And as an educator, I know we're supposed to do policy, but as an educator, my brain was whirling and I could see this, and this happening.
Yeah.
But that's not my job, but I hope it's somebody else's. And thank you so much. I don't know if the board has any questions.
Anyone on the board have any
excellent.
questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, good work.
And then there's
Thank you.
Mandarin. And then there's Mandarin.
And then there's Mandarin
Yeah,
because
that's a whole
somebody.
other ballgame that can open up.
I'd like
Yes.
to take a business card.
Oh, sure, absolutely. You know what, I'll leave them all here if you want. And
Perfect.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
very
much,
much.
McLean. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
great.
Thank
Oh,
you.
here's your training.
Oh, yeah, I need that.
Yeah, give me back.
Thank you so very much. That was very informative and educational for all of us. And hopefully we can get something going here. We're going to return to our agenda, and prior to the closed session, we had concluded consent agenda, but we had said we needed to come back to administrative reports. So at this time, we'll go back to our administrative reports with President Kinnaman.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And again, thank you for the presentation. Appreciate it. First, I would like to recognize somebody, a group of individuals. Our security officer, Kyle Girardi. Did I get that right? Is Kyle still here? There he is. Okay. Hi, Kyle. Sorry we didn't get to this earlier. I think we were supposed to do this around 11. But I wanted to recognize you and the security team for the installation of our Anchorman lockdown security devices that were installed in all the classrooms. And they're to ensure our students and staff are safe. And I wanted to especially point out the solution that, we've been waiting for some time to have a solution to be able to do that. The original estimates to update our electronic lock system exceeded $1.6 million, and this Anchorman lockdown devices were installed for less than $115,000, and we believe it's a better option. And our officer acted as the lead on this project, and we'd like to recognize him at this time, so thank you.
Thank you.
And you can talk if you'd like, or you can just wave, whichever you prefer.
Come up to the mic, please.
Come on up.
We want you up here.
We don't bite.
We just look like it.
I don't believe him.
I definitely think the Anchorman devices were a very good purchase and decision. They virtually are foolproof, and as a lot less expensive, you said, the electronic units. If the power goes out, these don't die. They don't rely on that. And opposed to our previous lockdowns, you don't have to reach outside the door with your fob if you have it, which a lot of staff don't, quite often, to lock it. And then again, in worst case scenario, someone that does have a fob is the person that we're having the issue with, that we're trying to lock down against. This also prevents against that. So I think it's a very good device to have, and I'm glad that we have it here at COD. So,
great.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know.
Thank you.
Can I say just a few words? Trustee Marmon, who was on the board, was one of our big motivators on this for a long time, and I'm sure if he knows about this, and I've seen them. I don't know if you noticed them. We went to our closed session. They look terrific. I think it's the best thing we could do to protect our students and staff and the community. So thank you very much for your leadership on this.
Thank you. So there's several things that I'd like to go over, because I hear so many things that that don't seem to be completely full and accurate at College of the Desert. So I wanted to touch on a few of those. And I wanted to remind everybody that, we've got a lot of different places where items are vetted and decisions are made. And our number one planning group is the College Planning Council. And it's well publicized when they meet, what they discuss. There's a whole binder on what their function is and what their charge is. that most should have. If they don't have a copy, they can contact my office. It's something that I co-chair with the Academic Senate President. And the College Planning Council consists of a lot of subcommittees, and so any of the issues that come before this board, there are subcommittees that are meeting and discussing these topics. And so it's really incumbent on individual employees, leaders of constituency groups, etc., to be engaged in those processes and to be engaged in that dialogue. And failure to be engaged is the fault of individuals that choose not to be engaged. So whether it's College Planning Council or whether it's the Budget Subcommittee where people can learn about the budget, I want to applaud. We'll have a presentation later of Lisa Howe. Probably the most transparent process I've ever seen. I mean, and I think that she has said that any questions that the subcommittee would like answered, we'd be happy to answer and collaborate on. Again, the budget subcommittee, things like budget, but also things like the 50% law and how that calculation is made. And representatives from all of our constituency groups are there, the presidents of each of those. So there should never be any question in their mind. And they, again, have that responsibility of communicating that information to their constituents, and failure to do so is really, incumbent on them, because if they fail to do that, then their colleagues aren't aware. I wanted to touch briefly on the academic calendar. Thank you for pulling the calendar today. The academic calendar is something that we do every year, and we've got a committee that puts together a proposed calendar. And we met in the fall and approved an academic calendar. Actually, the constituency group leaders attend that too, so all the presidents of the Senate, the unions, etc. And they passed that calendar with one person abstaining and then indicating they had concern about the calendar. And so we tried to address that through collective bargaining, and it didn't work. So we've had to take another look at it, and we'll have to go back to the academic calendar committee so that they can make whatever adjustments need to be made. So again, I thank the board for pulling that item. Another item of a lot of conversation is Faculty Innovation Center. And last spring, I know that the Executive Vice President and I was present too. We went to the Senate asking for some faculty leadership on different projects, and this was one that we wanted some leadership, so hopefully step forward and take the lead on what that center would be like. That did not occur, and so months have passed, and still there's dialogue around what is it that we're going to do about the Faculty Innovation Center. I will say, however, that in the spring also that Dr. Neary worked with the technology, representatives from the Technology Committee, to provide them information from the Berger Foundation and what those funds were for, and to start dialogue around the Faculty Innovation Center. I'm not sure where those discussions ultimately led. Another item that I wanted to touch on is hiring practices. There's been discussion by lots of individuals about hiring practices. Again, we have hiring practices that have been adopted by this college, and we follow those practices and the processes. If those processes need assessment and revision, then we have an Outcomes and Assessment Committee, a subcommittee of the College Planning Council that could do an assessment for us and that could provide us information about any type of change that might be appropriate. But absent those types of, following that type of process, individual concerns would not be what would change a process or a practice. That just wouldn't be good policy. And so, again, I appreciate the feedback, but we need to do it through a formalized process that includes all the college constituents, not just individual voices. The realignment process we have began, and I met with the Senate Executive Committee prior to the kickoff of this semester, and Friday again with the College Planning Council to outline that process. So it should be clear the process that we're following. We'll be sending out more correspondence about that and how people can make sure their voice is heard as we go through the realignment process. And again, I think a very transparent, very inclusive process that we're following. And let's see, I think there may be one other item. I want to close with one other item. And maybe kind of corny, but it's a legend. And it's a Cherokee legend that many of you probably have heard, and some have probably forgotten, or maybe you haven't heard. And it's Cherokee is teaching his grandson about life. And it goes to say, a fight is going on inside me, he said to the boy. It's a terrible fight, and it's between two wolves. One is evil. He has anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. He continued, the other is good. He has joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, excuse me, I still have this cold a little bit, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The same fight is going on inside you and inside every other person too. And of course the grandson says, which one will win? And his grandfather says, the one you feed. I'll continue to work with my colleagues that feed the ladder wolf and doing what's best for the students of this district. And I'm confident this board and this administration will continue to do the same. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time we'll go on with the action agenda items. There were no items pulled from the consent agenda for separate discussion and consideration under action items. The only item pulled will be brought back next month. So at this time, let me get my book flipped over here. Doesn't that make you feel better? All of that's done. Okay, the first thing we have is review of Board Policy 2210. And as you remember, I gave this to two of our board members to review and to come back with a proposal. So I hope I do this correctly. Our parliamentarian will let me know if I mess up here, I'm sure. They've brought back 3 proposals, and I'd like to have them speak to these. Do I need a motion on the floor? Can they speak to what their presentation, what they're proposing first?
So my recommendation would be that there be a motion to adopt changes to that policy.
Okay.
And then if there is a second, then I would, then the discussion could be from the committee that says these are the reasons why we decided that.
We are proposing these 3 for you to
If
decide.
there is absent a direct recommendation from the committee, then some of the board could then move to amend to adopt A, B, or C.
A, B, or C.
Go back.
Okay. So could I have a motion from the board to,
I move that the board act to amend Board Policy 2210.
And I'll second that.
okay, it's
We can
been moved
discuss.
and seconded to amend Board Policy 2210. And now we're going to have some discussion on that. And I'd like to go to the 2 individuals, the small committee that did the preparation on this for us.
Okay, a little bit of background, real quick. When we did our reorganization meeting in December, reviewing the policy as written was in conflict in that one section said the board would elect its officers, the other section said that the board has a rotation policy, and those 2 are counterproductive to each other. You have in front of you 3 drafts, potential revisions to that policy. The first one is draft A, which is the original policy prior to the amendment that was made, I believe, in 2008, if I remember correctly. And that strikes in red the paragraph that was added in 2008, which is at the end of the policy, which is that there is a rotational system. And so what this in fact does is takes the policy back to what it had been for many years prior to 2008. Draft B removes the election part, which is the part that is lined through in red, and brings the last paragraph from the current policy to the forefront of the policy, and it makes the board organizational officers a rotational system as per way it has been for a few years now. And then draft C is like somewhat of a compromise of the two. And that one I'm going to read because it needs a little clarification. At the annual organization meeting, the board shall elect from among its members a chair, vice chair, and clerk of the board. The term of these officers shall be for 1 year. The addition is a trustee can only serve as chair for 2 consecutive 1-year terms. After 2 consecutive 1-year terms, that trustee cannot serve as chair for a period of 1 year. There is no limit to the total number of years a trustee can serve as chair. There are no restrictions to the number of times a trustee can hold any position on the board except for the chair as stated above. The revision that took place to this policy in 2008 evolved from a period of time when 1 or 2 people rotated the chair, and it was concerned that no one else could serve in that position. Our committee's hope was that this draft C addressed that concern of a board 7 years ago, and still kept the element of the original policy. So those are the 3 options that we came up to present to the board. Again, quick review, draft A reverts back to the original policy prior to 2008. Draft B eliminates the conflict between the original policy and the changes that were done in 2008. And draft C is an alternative that attempts to combine the wishes of all the policies.
Okay, there were 2 of you on the committee. Would the other individual like to speak to anything at this time?
Only to maybe restate what Michael said. The first policy would the Form A, the first presentation, makes it revert back totally to an election. The B form of it makes it totally a rotation. And the C part of it addresses the concerns of the board, which is why the changes were made in 2007, or as best as I can recall, of the concerns of that time. I think that if the board were to choose B, then we should maybe go back and refine the wordsmithing. I'm not sure that it's totally workable, but I do think that it's the concept that we're looking at this point more than the actual little dotting the i's and crossing the t's.
Okay.
B or C did you mean?
No, B. If we go to a total rotation policy, I think we have to, and it may be fine, I just think we need to look at it very closely and be sure that all the possibilities are covered, and that we don't set up for a board to bump into something and then the policy be in place, needing to follow it, and, so. Otherwise, I think it's clear. It's just the election, a rotation, or an election, but with limits.
Okay. Would anybody else like to speak to these? Let's go down in order. Student trustee, do you have anything that you might want to say about the policy?
Yes, I can say, being an ASCOD member for the last 3 years, I can appreciate the policy B, and I feel that all of our board members have something unique and that they can bring to the board, and I'd like to see policy B.
Okay, trustee Wilson?
Typically, most of the cities in the Coachella Valley do function with a rotational system on their city councils. So I would like to see, draft B. However, again, there is no wording in there that it's on an annual basis. So, or done like every December or something like that. And there should be, I think, some sort of time frame that's indicated in there. Annually, every 12 months, every December.
Right. I think that we felt that was covered because it says the organizational meeting, and the organizational meeting is a defined time. So I think that part's covered, but I'm not sure that all the other items are covered.
Where is the organizational?
Oh, at the annual organizational meeting, the board shall elect from among its members a chair, vice chair, and a clerk.
Okay, so that needs to.
You're at the wrong.
I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong one. I'm in the wrong one. Okay, if it doesn't, I'm at the third one, yeah.
Needs to be
right.
re-added in there.
We need to be sure the organizational meeting, and that defines the time.
Okay, so that would be, the period of
Yes,
time.
that's the
definition.
period of time. I think legally, that's the period
Yes.
of time.
Okay,
That's when the election is done, unless there's something that happens.
thank you, Madam Chair.
Trustee Sanchez Fulton?
I concur with trustee Ms. Wilson. I can't talk. It's hard for me to talk right now. There's a concern, just to add some of the verbiage on the time, the two consent, just make sure that it's finite.
Oh, for C?
Yeah, no, I agree with B.
Okay, but you're looking at C as well.
No, I'm not, I'm
Oh.
adding, I think this is great.
Okay.
But we have to be clear on the amount and the consecutive. I think you need to incorporate my voice is gone, so B. I can't talk.
So you're looking at B, but you'd like to incorporate some of C into it, is that what?
Right, about defining, a trustee can only serve as chair for 2 consecutive one term. I mean, just kind of giving some verbiage on that, because.
Well, if we do a straight rotation, it's 1 year, and then we rotate, 1 year, rotate, 1 year, rotate. Each year, it would be somebody new. Is that?
I think it's great because we're all elected and we all serve our districts. Having a fair representation for our community that reflects the community is very critical. So having everyone, and most municipalities do follow that as well, that's why I concur with B, with the 1 term. I think we should add that. So everyone has an opportunity.
Well, it is 1 term. B is designated as 1 term.
Okay, so I didn't see that in there.
The only one that had 2 terms was C. Okay, anything else? No?
Thank you. My voice is gone. Excuse me, everyone, for that.
Trustee O'Neill?
Should we, following what trustee Sanchez was saying, should there be, if B is our choice, do we need to incorporate language for opting out? Do we need to incorporate language in case, we've all heard the rogue trustee, but what we don't need is a rogue chair? I mean, do we, right now, if you follow the rotation process, you could have a situation where you have a very bad situation for 1 year. And I'm thinking in past situations that I'm aware of.
Could I explain something to the board? Because having been on the board when we had some individuals that
were excellent board members, very excellent board members. But for one of them, due to health concerns, he always refused to be the chair or the vice chair. But he fulfilled other roles admirably, and he represented his constituency, but he never wanted that position. Another example of someone that I was lucky enough to serve with was an individual that chose, and I never really fully understood, I don't think, until they retired as a board member, that their choice for never wanting to be the chair was sometimes the chair doesn't get to voice their opinion as much as they would like, or to be able to step away from being the chair or the leadership position. So they never wanted that because they had certain things in the community college family or setting that they wanted to speak
were
about.
passionate about, they wanted
Very
to be able to
passionate
speak
about.
about, right.
And every time it came up, they wanted to speak to that. And they wanted to really be able to speak to it and not have to take that kind of
Neutral
backseat
position that a
position
chair
that a
needs to
chair
take.
is supposed to take. So those were two individuals that I remember. When we first came up with the rotation, I remember there was one board member that was made to become the chair, and he felt very, very uncomfortable in the seat. And you need to have a way that they can opt out, but opt out so that if it's due to medical conditions or just preference, this individual didn't like doing a lot of public speaking, but he was able to serve his community in a capacity that he didn't, he didn't have to be the leader, but he felt that if he had declined or opted out of the rotation, he would have made it look like he wasn't fulfilling his job, because this makes it look like you
You're
have
supposed to do
to
it.
be the chair. And so that's something that we have to be very
Right.
cognizant
Well,
of.
we were very careful to write in that anyone could opt out, but that.
No
trust-
explanation
no
necessary,
explanation,
but
that
still
person felt
sometime,
obligated.
they
He
felt
did.
obligated because of the fact that if it's a true rotation, then everybody, you, when you run for office, you know that's going to happen, but when he ran, he didn't feel that way. Or it wasn't what the
Wasn't
policy
required,
was. And some people just feel that, they're letting down their constituency if they don't do it.
Yes.
And he felt he did a terrible job, which he really didn't. But the thing is,
Actually, I thought he did a fine job, but yes.
he did an excellent job. But, but the other thing is, like I said, for whatever reason, sometimes people feel that, they're giving up something that they're supposed to take, or they're have to take as part of their responsibility to the board. And so we have to be very clear on the way we word that. So those were just some things that I wanted to put out there.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
To kind of go back to what Trustee O'Neill was saying, if we did have a rogue trustee or rogue chair, is there language in our policies that would kind of like checks and balances with, or talk to that one, or any type of?
Not really.
The only place that would come up would be in our code of conduct. And if you follow the code of conduct policy, the person who initiates that is the chair or the vice chair. But if you have a chair that is controlling the discussion without some way of intervening from this policy, then that person could make sure that that topic never saw the light of day. So I think what I'm hearing Trustee Stefan say is something in here that provides for not only the person who doesn't want to take the position, but perhaps some way, and I don't mean putting words in your mouth, some way that the board could take action if there was a situation that they needed to remove a chair.
Well, you can't, this is just getting the chair. I don't think this would include removing the chair. Something else would have to be written for that. So I'm not sure that, we could address that at this time.
Would that be a different
Either
policy?
additional
board
policy
policy.
or in the code of conduct. Yeah. But the thing is, what we should be looking at is how do we want to go about doing this, and how do we want to word it so that a person could say, you know, look, I'm not ready for it this time. And then what happens with the rotation? Somebody brought this to my attention, that if somebody, if we have a rotation and, well, let's say Becky was the chair. We'll go back one term, okay? Becky's the chair, I'm the vice chair, and at the end of that term, there was a good possibility that I might have been facing surgery on my hip, okay? Thank heavens that didn't happen. They were able to fix it with a few injections. And let's hope that, knock on wood, sticks. But the thing is, if that should happen, then the person that was behind me in rotation didn't have the privilege of being the vice chair, if you can call it a privilege, but they didn't have access to that semi-training thing of what goes on in being a chair. And so then, you know, the organization, well, part of the meeting, you know, not that somebody's not really trained, and not that the rest of us aren't going to fill in the links, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, are they really ready for the next position, you know, to skip. You know, if we've all been on the board for years, it doesn't matter, but if they're relatively new, it may matter. You know, question.
What do you think about language or something along, I'm just creating off the top of my head here, something along the line, if a person is unable to fulfill the terms of the chair or chooses to opt out of the rotation, then the board reverts to an election process? Because that would allow maybe a more experienced individual to be put into the chair.
To fill in that year, and you're thinking, your theory would be that, God forbid, you would, back to our scenario, you would re-elect me to be a chair for another year, and then, in this case, Mary Jane would be sitting there and would be ready to move into her chair year. Or
so
we could make you suffer.
So some language that would allow for that would need to be incorporated into this document.
Would that be, is there some way you could incorporate then a portion of what you have in C into that? Does that make sense?
I think we could set up a situation where we said if the next person in the rotation cannot fulfill the duties of the chair or chooses not to, then the board reverts to the election process.
Right, for that term.
For that term.
Then that person that was elected for the chair would rotate, as they should, back to the back of the line.
Right. So it will remain as 1 year.
That was my thought that I was going to bring out. Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else have any ideas on that? I don't know what we have a motion on the floor. We haven't really selected one and made an amended motion to that motion. Do we want to have it, another option we could have, can I suggest an option? Is that the committee could take it back and bring something forward next time, hearing all the ideas from the board at this time.
Can we eliminate those options that were not well received and just bring back a single option under this item?
Sure. So it would be my recommendation that any committee that does their work should make one recommendation. It's complicated to bring three forward.
Yeah.
So it was always better to just hear what your group has said and then there's one recommendation for adoption. Because then you can amend on the floor.
Oh, on that one and just postpone or to bring it back. Okay. Okay.
And we didn't intend it to be this way, but we didn't have an opportunity to discuss, so we wanted to get the issue out there.
Yeah. Well, would we need 2 readings on the amended?
Yes.
So we need to bring it back twice?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so would you like to make a recommendation on which one of these you want to?
I want to throw out one more thought. Because it'll give the committee some direction. Basically, what we're suggesting is that if a person that's in line for the chair chooses to not be in that position, all the words I came up with there in my brain would made it a negative situation, and I'm
Yeah.
trying very hard because there are many reasons a person would not want to
That's
be a
right.
chair that are very valid. Am I being judgmental to say, or am I reading the concerns correctly, that one should have been a chair, a vice chair before one is a chair? Or is that really not?
Under the rotational system, it's implied.
It's implied, that's what I'm saying, so,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's just leave it then, it just makes
Un-
one less complication.
Mhm. So I need to amend the motion? Is that what I'm hearing?
We need,
You could move to refer it back to the committee.
Do I do that? So,
at
okay.
this point, we haven't selected just one,
That's okay. You're
but
just
they know
moving
where
it-
they're going.
Right, this issue is going to be referred back to the committee. They will convene and then bring back something.
Okay.
So do I do that?
Yes.
So I move that we refer this back to the committee for
Even though
further.
he's on the committee?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Moved in second.
Moved and seconded.
Madam Chair, when will this be brought back?
So we brought back at the March meeting
For the first reading.
for first
So
reading.
we'll have 2 readings.
And then it'll be brought back again in April for a second reading.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes.
Just to note again that 2
And just
trustees
to
will
note
not be
again,
present.
if there's anything you want brought to the attention of the board, if you're absent at a conference, just submit it in writing to Angela so that I can read it out for you at the
Thank you.
meeting. I can't receive something from 2 board members that are absent. Does that make sense?
Especially about the
She
same
can
topic.
receive it, and then she can give them to me to read out at that point. Okay, does that make sense?
Chairman Broughton, I thought maybe we could put this for April. It would be up to the author of the motion that we could do this in April because you'll have 2 board members not at present. So I would just ask
But
you.
it'll be brought back.
It'll be brought
2
back.
readings.
Okay.
2 readings.
It'll be brought back again. Next time will just be like a formality, but it could be in April that, we all look at it, and this is one of the times when we sleep on something. And then we might all think, oh gosh, that really sounded bad.
Let's
We need
let's
to
send this back
wordsmith
to
it
committee
better.
again and try it
Plus,
again.
one thing that I would really encourage the committee to do is after we do get a first reading, a semi-approval, that we submit it to the Community College Legal so that they can
Yes.
go through it and make sure there's nothing that is out of line in it, so that it meets the guidelines. Okay.
That's Angela's job.
Angela's shaking her head,
Angela's
yes.
shaking her head, yeah, I'll make sure that happens, okay. So, at this time, we have a motion on the floor to send these back to the committee and have them come up with one, based on the recommendations that they've heard today, that will encompass some of our concerns and provide for a rotation that meets those concerns. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Student trustee Campbell, your advisory vote, please.
Aye.
Now, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Okay, Board of Trustees, where are we at? Board member travel. This is item number 2. Do I have a motion to approve the travel for 2 board members of trustees members as presented?
You do?
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. Should we amend this motion to
we amend
remove
this
number
motion?
3? Expenses may have already been
Some
incurred.
expenses were already incurred, I believe. Our trustee is ill, so she's
Yes.
excused from the conference. One
Most
thing,
importantly, we had to be here locally to vote. I think being on the board is very important, and here locally, I just want to make that comment.
Okay.
So next month, isn't it the same?
It's going to happen again.
So
Yeah.
are you, I mean, I understand, I respect that's the way you feel, but then you,
I
You're
wasn't
taking
sick.
well, being here because you're sick, that I understand. But I say though, the being
At 30
here,
degrees in Washington in snow.
no, it would be a,
No, no way you can go, you can't
Nuh-uh.
fly when you're ill. It's
Right.
too risky.
It's warmer, it's 25.
One thing that I would like to see us get a hold
2 feet
of
of snow or
is,
something.
with regard to this, because it gets to be a problem at the last minute, trying to get the forms filled out and everything going, is if we could get the annual calendar for all the
Yes.
conferences far enough in advance so that we can make these decisions and get them approved so that everybody knows, so that if we do have to change a board meeting, we can change a board meeting well enough in advance.
Yes,
So
but the
that
rest of
is
the community
something
is
that I'm going to make the recommendation of, and if necessary, I may assign 2 people to keep track of that for us, so that we have that calendar coming forward, so that we don't have errors and forget about conferences and not
right.
have people
Actually,
represented there.
I think if we have those
Necessary.
calendars, which is an excellent idea, and Angela has them on her main calendar, then when she proposes to us dates for these meetings, she can easily say, here's the meetings and here's your dates, and deal with it, you know?
Yeah.
And
These
we
are
can
the
go,
dates
oh,
of
you're
all of
right,
the things.
Angela, this date really conflicts with that, and
Yeah, because we are able to move our meetings around a little bit, but once we approve the calendar for the year, it makes it a little bit trickier.
Yeah.
And it gets to be, I know it gets to be a problem if people want to attend conferences and you're missing meeting after meeting, or else we're missing conference after conference.
right.
And I think the trainings are important, just like the meetings are important. And I will say that again. So we have a motion on the floor and a second. Any other discussion? Student trustee Campbell,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Going to human resources. Never should have my nails back. Okay, granting of tenure. Do I have a motion to approve the granting of tenure as presented?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the granting of tenure as presented. Any discussion?
everybody that wants to discuss?
Just to congratulate John on getting tenure. Hopefully he's hearing
Or
it.
is he?
Is he here?
He was here earlier.
There's a class?
No, and John was here, and he had to teach,
Yeah,
so he asked me
What a novel
to
idea.
share with you. You know, he's honored. He appreciated the process and those who served on his tenure committee, and you know, he's very excited. But he's teaching now, which he loves doing, and he's good at it.
This is an indication of some of these events we need to schedule in the morning when we, so that we can get them first, even though it's out of order on the agenda.
Yes.
So that we can, because staff can be here then.
I was going to say, perhaps we can offer a choice as to which is better, just after our first closed session or just after
Exactly.
lunch. Closed
Right.
session. And
Right.
that way they can shift their own schedule. Oh, I've got a class at that time, so that doesn't work for me, but I can make this one.
Right.
Right. Great idea.
Okay. And the other thing I want to say is there will be a tenure ceremony. It will not be just for him, because we do other things at that ceremony as well. And, but there will be a ceremony whenever he will receive his tenure. Okay. Seeing no further discussion, student trustee Campbell,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Administrative services. The first one is a resolution number 02115-1, establishing general obligation bond fund, and this is Fund 43. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 02115-1, establishing general obligation bond fund, Fund 43 as presented?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? If anybody says I threw an extra one in there, just cross it off.
I'm hoping we'll have a presentation.
I could speak to the issue.
That would be nice.
I can. This is actually a recommendation requirement from Riverside County Office of Education. When they set up the funds, they allowed colleges to choose various fund levels, numbers within a group. And so they were notified by the Chancellor's Office that this is a required fund, so they actually had to do a little bit of back work, and was brought forward by, I think, San Jacinto Community College District with their new bonds. So we're all having to realign because they're actually following the code. So there you go.
Doesn't this make auditing easier, in a way?
I would hope so, but I can't speak that until next year, because as we have to transfer all of these expenditures, might make it a little more difficult the first year,
Okay.
but probably a more efficient process after that.
But for the board or someone taking a look, it's much easier to see, I would think, since it has its own, okay.
You would hope.
I would hope, okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? This is a roll call vote. Dr. Kinnaman?
Yes. Student Trustee Campbell.
Aye.
Trustee Broughton.
Aye.
Trustee O'Neill.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez.
Aye.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye. Okay, now that brings us down to budget revisions. Do I have a motion to approve the budget revisions as presented?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
You didn't call the vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. The motion carried unanimously. Okay, we now have a motion to approve the budget motion and a second to approve the budget revisions as presented. Is there any discussion? Would you like to say anything?
2 quick words. As you know, we started doing budget revisions on a regular basis as an action item. So this item does increase or decrease our fund balance. What you see before you, we actually have an increase for mandated cost claims. So we're actually recognizing when we receive information, we'll be receiving those funds, increasing the ability to spend. That also goes through for categoricals, and it actually gives our managers the ability to spend the money in a more timely manner. There's a lot of changes too to property taxes, but that's within about a $45,000 net difference, and it just is a change in estimate from property tax. So.
Okay. Any further discussion, questions? Student Trustee Campbell?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carried unanimously. Item number 3 is 2014-2015 CCFS 311Q Quarterly Financial Status Report. Do I have a motion to approve the 2014-2015 CCFS 311Q Quarterly Financial Status Report as presented?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I do have a brief presentation.
Good.
It's much more brief than CPC, so we'd be happy to know. Quarterly financial update, what is in the board packet I've summarized on the slides. And I do apologize, there is one slide in your packets that is incorrect. I have since updated that information. It just was the membership of our budget subcommittee. It was an old slide, and I fixed it, and it unfortunately didn't get in the presentation, so I had to fix it again. So if we look at, we're required each quarter to provide a update to the Chancellor's Office on our financial condition. The Chancellor's Office only requires us to report on Fund 11, which is our unrestricted fund. So here's our second quarter update. We're required to report our current budget, the actuals to date, and our projections. There's no surprises here. Small differences we have included the increase in the 4.5% off-schedule bonus in our expenditures, so that's why you see the expenditures going up slightly. Our revenues have gone up slightly as well with the budget revisions that you've seen today, and I believe we had one prior. But for the most part, we are right on target with what we projected at the beginning of the year, so that's good news. Always a question about what's in the fund balance. So here we have a slide, and it tells you that our fund balance, we're estimating to end this year with a unrestricted fund balance of $9.4 million. And of that 9.4 million, I have the components listed there to the side. 4.4 million approximately is the 7.5 recommended board reserve. We have that 1.6 in there for growth. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. As you know, we projected a 6% increase in FTES, and we, knowing that that's not for sure, we went ahead and reserved this as part of our fund balance. We don't anticipate getting all that money this year, and so I wanted to bring that to your attention. Dr. Davies actually made a very good comment which at the CPC meeting, which caused me to rethink how we present our financials. So I want to make sure that I disclose that even though we're projecting it and we believe that it is real, we will not receive that money until next year. But because we commit to spend on that plan, we want to make sure we're recognizing that revenue in the time period. I have checked with our auditors, and they are in alignment and agree with how we're presenting our financials as long as we indicate that we reserve the funds in fund balance. So it's a departure, I think, from what the college has done in the past, so I wanted to bring it to your attention. We also have this nice $1 million here that was reserved for the FTES dispute that we hope to have gone. We've been talking about it since I arrived here, and I know much earlier than that. But we do believe and feel that will be resolved this year before June. I think I said that last year, too. New market tax credit, we have $1.7 million that we received prior to June last year. June 30th. We have not expended any of that money and therefore still resides in the fund balance. I wanted to take an opportunity just to give you a little bit. We did have the governor's budget update, was presented in January. So this just gives you a brief look at what we expect to receive next year. It's good news for community college. First good news we've had in a very long time. So there are increased enhancements, revenues coming our way. Some of them we have estimates on, and some of them we don't exactly know how they're going to affect us individually, but we share that information as we receive it with our budget subcommittee. And we just met actually this week, Monday. So
just so people don't get too excited, these dollar amounts are for the whole system, not for COD.
That's why it says, that's
Okay.
correct, Governor's 2015-16
And what
budget
is the
proposal.
COLA percentage? They give a dollar amount. Do they give a-
1.56 or 7.
Okay,
1.56
thank you.
or 7, I can't remember. I believe 1.57. So we've done our estimates. We actually shared that information with Budget Subcommittee on Monday, what it looks like. How much money would we be expecting to receive under the COLA as well as growth. Next year, we're projecting growth at 2%, so that number could change depending on this year. So all of that is evolving. So we're just starting this budget process. We meet once a month with the Budget Subcommittee. We go over the information we receive, any updates from Sacramento, as well as any questions that staff has. So. Prop 98 one-time revenues, that is an area out there that what we hear is we're going to receive a substantial increase. Well, what does that mean? We haven't been given, we know what's set aside, included in the governor's budget, but they haven't really given us any details on how that equates to us.
And that can change because of what comes in the state treasury and...
This actually is a true-up. So that dollar amount, I believe from prior years is a solid number. The dollar amount for this year certainly can change because it is dependent upon the state budget.
Right.
And we won't know the determination of that until June. So mandate claims, I mentioned that was part of our adjustment earlier. We also expect to get some additional monies next year. So they're starting to pay down those mandates. Tremendous liability at the state level because they haven't paid those for quite some time. Mm-hmm. Adult education, there's a major policy change that can be expected to see. This consortium, only 2 members of that I think 7-member or 8-member consortium are Prop 98 related. So that's of concern to education. So we'll provide more information as it rolls out, but it could have some impacts because there'll be other agencies competing for those dollars. Okay, here we go. So I just wanted to leave you with a nice little quote. A budget tells us what we can't afford, but it doesn't keep us from buying it. So it's very true. When we look at our budget, we have a good picture, but a lot of times we make decisions that we constantly have to go back and revisit what that budget looks like. And just the budget calendar, we're two checks in. As I mentioned, we met with Budget Subcommittee yesterday, or Monday, and we will be providing budget presentations beginning March with what it looks like and how we'll roll out multi-year projections. And there's our calendar. Our Budget Subcommittee members, and this is a slide that was actually incorrect. It's incorrect in your materials, and I apologize. We had a prior year slide in there, so that we've been updated, and that actually reflects current information. And
I think I'd like to draw our attention to, you can see that all the constituency leadership is represented here as part of the budget subcommittee. So as we move forward, it's my hope that that team will be able to be very collaborative on the budget. I know Lisa's desire is for them to be able to even be in a situation where they might do a presentation like this together as they work. So
yeah, I really want to have a really dynamic presentation, not a PowerPoint, but something that's a little bit more intuitive and actually reaches out to the groups, communicating in language that they can understand. I know financial people, we speak a different speak, as educational people speak a different speak. So we've, at Monday's meeting, we've asked for them to come up with some ideas and what they would like to see. So we'll put it together and we'll take care of that part of it, but it's just a matter of what's included in there and what impacts. So I think I'm hoping that we'll have a little bit something different, a little something fun, especially since there's some good news on the table for once in many years. So this is assumptions that we're using to show you how the changes. So, next year is 1.58%. I lied earlier, excuse me. 1.57% was 13-14. So notice that we went down to 0.85%. Now we're back up to this 1.58. 2% growth. The 6% growth this year, that's the number I'm a little bit concerned about. Two other items on there that I would like to bring to your attention, the STRS employer rate and the PERS employer rate. We shared this with the Budget Subcommittee on Monday and did some estimates given our current look of what those dollars are going to be. 6 years of increases, straight increases, about $4 million of increase over the two. Now, do I think it's going to be 4? I don't. I think the interest rates are going to go up. Liabilities, of course, will be impacted by that. But right now, that's what we're looking at. So it's $350,000 right now. Each year, it goes up a little bit, $400, and then up to about $450 over that 6-year period of time.
Can that formula be altered by the state easily, or is that set in stone?
It actually, the PERS rate is altered by the PERS board, and the STRS rate is altered by the legislature, and actually was for the first time, I believe, since it's been adopted at the current rate of 8.25, first time ever that it was changed this year. So we have some major, as you know, major pension reform. So difficult for us to deal with because it's dollars that affect our unrestricted budget.
So we're looking at an increase of $500,000 over the next 3 years?
It's about 320 right now for next year, and for PERS and STRS, it goes up to over 400,000, and there's a 6-year increase. They actually published rates that they believe, in order to deal with the current liability and liability moving forward, they published rates on what they think the increases would need to be. So we took that, applied it to our budget, and came up with those estimates. So spaghetti on a wall, though, that's what I call it. It is just a look and letting you know that you need to be concerned about it, and it should be addressed in your budget discussion.
At one point in time, not that long ago, we were looking at 3 and 5 years out in our budget projections. Are you doing the same?
Absolutely. We look at, we're actually required to look out 3 years, but we do up to 5. You know, the further you go out, the less accurate it is, but you can certainly get a look as to trending. So final thoughts on the governor's budget. Good news, economic recovery continues to occur, but I will remind you that 7 out of 10 years are not good years and 3 are good. So we have a good year coming. We've had a good year this year. Continued focus on education, 10.95%. Oh, see, there's that mistake in that slide again. I haven't fixed that, sorry. It's 10.95%. It's not a dollar amount. So Prop 98 share. So that's what we're talking about, that significant increase. It's one-time money. Beware of our increases we talked about for STRS and PERS. Remember, Prop 30 revenues will start to phase out, so we also have that coming. So that will be in our multi-year look. And the Prop 2 passage, that's a big discussion right now because when the taxes go away, what will happen? Well, Prop 2 would help us to smooth that drop, should it be. We're hoping the economy grows so that it's a nice little transition, but at this point, that's what it looks like. So thoughts and considerations, we have a balanced budget this year. We're fortunate. We're projecting 6% growth, and that is a projection, so we will be reporting on that. And just a note that we do expect to spend down our restricted funds this year. We expect to have more of a smaller ending fund balance so that the money that is budgeted in those restricted funds are spent on the students that are here at the time they earn it. So, and I think that's it. Any questions?
I would just like to reinforce what Dr. Kinnaman said about open and transparent. I've been associated with the college for 25 years, and when we first started out, the budget was none of anybody's business. And I don't think you can get more transparent in where we're at and where we're heading than you can at this point in time. And that is a wonderful change, and it allows everybody to be focused and current, and I appreciate it. From somebody who fought for this information for many years.
As I said, we'll address any question.
And I want to compliment you on putting in the budget calendar there, because that does show that it is a living, breathing document, and that it is planned and replanned, and that it's looked at over and over again, and isn't just a piece of stale thing that we produce. Sometimes people think that's, you make it once and that's it. So, with that, any other questions? Discussion, seeing none. We will now approve the 2014-2015 quarterly financial status report. Student Trustee Campbell?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Student Success, Student Learning, Math Curriculum Modifications for Fall 2015. Do I have a motion to approve the math curriculum modifications for Fall 2015 as presented?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the math curriculum modifications for Fall 2015 as presented. Discussion.
Question, did we have any information since our last meeting? We had sent it back for discussion and follow-up. Do we have any updates or conclusions?
Yes, I understand that staff have met with the math faculty and to provide feedback and to just express what had been presented to the board at its last meeting, and based on that meeting that the math faculty wishes to stand by the curriculum as it was presented at the initial meeting.
And we heard this morning from our student organization that they are still uncomfortable with it, with this math curriculum. I believe that's what I heard.
No, I know all the board has received a lot of information about this topic. And one of the things that we received, and I'll name the individual, Professor Hergopian, sent a wonderful article about, which I think he thought was in support of this, but I didn't read it that way. To me, that was a methodology, and this I don't see as a methodology as such. This is a seat time increase. And I think we have confused a lot of that in this discussion. And I'm not sure we're clear, I'm not sure that the whole topic has been clarified to develop a course, or sequence of courses, I should say, that I feel comfortable with. That's just my thinking.
Anyone Seeing no further discussion, student trustee Campbell,
Nay.
all in favor? Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Nay. Nay. Okay, the motion did not carry, so we are still utilizing the prior information.
What was adopted at the
What was-
meeting before
what we had
last, yes.
previously.
Okay.
Okay. We have not changed that. I lost a page here. So the math curriculum modifications have not been approved for fall. Information items. You'll look in your binder here, you will see we have Administration Procedure 4105, Distance Education. And this is a draft pending approval. I believe it will come back again later.
Can I comment? Are we taking comments at this time?
It's informational items, we do not usually do.
We don't do comments, Carlos?
No.
He's looking, he's looking.
There's no more.
No?
Nope, not so much, he
If
said.
it's okay with the body, you could,
Mhm.
but you have to be very mindful to not enter into discussion, because it's not
Does that make sense?
about getting information.
So I can't praise the committee that developed this?
Yeah. Oh.
He just did. Well,
That's
go
all.
on. Okay, number 2.
So-
The administrative services. This is resignation and selection of member at large for West Valley representation on the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. And
Can I ask the board for permission to comment on this? As that's what I think our parliamentarian was saying.
On item number 2?
Item number 2.
yes.
Because I wanted to thank Mr. Waldron. He joined the bond board at my urging when we had a vacancy, and he is in his third 2-year term. Unfortunately, his health is such that he could not continue. He is a prime example of what happens when someone is exposed to College of the Desert. I see it in the foundation events, and here comes the foundation walking in right on cue. Couldn't have timed that better. And while he was familiar with the college, he's a sports fanatic, and he'd always follow our teams. Once he became a member of the bond board, even this morning when I spoke to him after he just got out of the hospital yesterday, he mentioned about all the good things he reads about a COD in the paper, because he now has a part of our community, which is what happens. And I think Diane's another example of that sitting over there. You get pulled in, because we do great things. And I want to thank him for his work on the board for over 5 years. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, the third informational item is...
Trustee Stefan, excuse me,
Yes.
please. Point of clarification, if I may. On item 1, it shows that the information item, the actual backup says draft pending approval. It was approved, and since this was a procedure, it was to come to you for information. I didn't want it for you to have the impression that it was a draft. We failed to take the watermark off, so. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Just
Thank
for
you.
clarification. Okay, number 3 is administrative services, general obligation refunding analysis.
Yes.
Would someone like to?
I love that he works with me here.
Which is the second one here?
Refunding bonds. Yeah. So this actually is a little longer presentation, but I'm going to go through it as quickly as I can. As you know, I think we've brought before you the management of our bond program. I think Adam came earlier, was January or December, to speak to you about refunding opportunities. So this is a presentation on those refunding opportunities you have before you. So if we go to page 2, it just gives you summary information about what we have out there as far as general obligation bonds outstanding. Talks a little bit about negative arbitrage. Now, I had him include this slide because I think it's important for us to understand what negative arbitration is, negative arbitrage, sorry. And it really is a penalty, so let's just call it what it is. It's a penalty for doing something, refunding something earlier than you're allowed. So I'll go into that in a little bit. So our current refunding program, we are at a point now where we can refund our 2005 bonds with very little penalty. And our bet on the market paid off. If we would have refunded, we had hundreds of financial advisors calling us in the fall to say, oh, you better refinance, the market's never going to get better. Well, the market got better. Had we refinanced in the fall, we also would have had a large penalty because we weren't authorized to refund then. You can refund at any time, but you'll get penalized for it, much like a home loan if you have a prepayment penalty. Thank you. So right now, we're looking at if we did this refunding of savings to our taxpayers, no impact to the college, by the way. There's no more money in it for the College Capital Fund program, but savings for the taxpayers of 16.1%, and that is huge, huge savings. When we talk about doing deals about refundings, I've seen colleges and other agencies do deals if you have a 3% spread that's considered okay. If you have a 6% spread, it's considered a really good deal. So 16% spread, fabulous deal. There are costs associated with it. I think on the next slide you can see there's $250,000 of costs associated with it. Again, that would come out of the cost of the bonds, the refunding. But really, at the end of the day, what happens is the taxpayer's rate goes down, and that's what we'd like to have happen. So keep that in mind. We have a couple other opportunities. Financial advisors, I get calls every day about, oh, you should do this, oh, you should do that. My experience, my aging in this world, I've done a lot of bond deals, and I can tell you that I've absolutely opposed. I don't believe I've ever done a deal where I've had negative arbitrage or a penalty, because I just don't think it's valuable. This one I'm on the fence with, but I have reason to advise you or recommend that we don't, that we hold off. So we'll talk about that. So right now, if we were to do this refunding, and these are the bonds that we would have to pay pre-penalty to refund. This bond market today is the best bond market I've ever seen as far as rates. And you can see that in your home loan rates. It equates to the borrowing of interest. Very low rates. The two that we're talking about here, if we were to, are talking about 2007 B and C series bonds. We really would need to wait till May of 2017 to refund these bonds. I'm on page 14, by the way, in case you're following along. And so what happens when you refund ahead of time is you are hit with the prepayment penalties. This deal would cost us $400,000 to do as opposed to the $250,000. You would still have significant savings to your taxpayers, by the way. Come on. Up.
It's not cooperating.
Is that the end? Oh, sorry. Well, so maybe I skimmed through too quickly.
Oh, that's 15, yeah.
Excuse me, you're right. So this program, going back a little bit, looking at the two, including 2005 with 2007 series, would save us approximately $26.8 million in net present value savings, or average annual savings of $2.2 million. Now, that sounds like a good deal, but there is negative arbitrage or penalties that would be aligned with this deal. So when we look at the cost of it, and again, I can't see that, so that's why I'm struggling here. So let me pull out my copy. It's a little small. So on page 12,
If you hold that button down, you'll be on 15 again.
am I?
You keep pushing the button.
I think Mike's doing that. He's trying to make me look bad. Oh, he's trying to say it so I can see. That's good.
So we can see.
So $485,000
There we go.
would cost to do this deal, and this is if we are actually doing the combined series. So the one without the negative arbitrage or the penalty, and the ones with. The total savings here, still pretty significant savings, 11.9%. And remember, a 6% deal is a good deal. The $26 million over net present value savings, that's over the life of the bond. So that's a big number, but it's over a very long period of time. I still, however, am going to recommend that we stay with just the one refunding. I think there's too much cost. I think the market, I asked Adam to do an analysis of how much the market would have to adjust to have us save. We're 2 years away. And I don't think the market is going to change at that rate. If it does, we'll still have the opportunity to do a deal. So I'm recommending that we stay with the one refunding. Taxpayers will be positively impacted next year, so that it would be in the fall. They would see that on their December tax bill. And it's a positive thing for us. So. Again, if we just did the one deal, this goes through, he has 3 analysis here, but for the purposes of our recommendation, I'm recommending the conservative approach, which is just the one refunding for the 2005 series bonds. Questions or confusion or, no?
I think it's excellent. I think that we are fulfilling our duty to our community by refinancing these and saving our community those extra expenses. And I think we have almost a moral obligation to proceed at least on the one that has a very minor impact on us financially. And not to mention the potential public relations upside of all this.
Right. Oftentimes you'll read in the paper about the capital appreciation bonds and, how horrible that is. These are the stories that sometimes don't get picked up, where there's some significant savings here and we're taking advantage of it. And again, it's just good management on the bond program. It's not benefiting the college other than we're doing something really good for our taxpayers, and obviously we're taxpayers as well. But
And I hope we would get some good public relations information out about this.
we will certainly try.
I hope so. We used to have people that sat in the audience called reporters, but they don't show up anymore.
That might be a good thing, though, too. I never know. So that concludes, just, again, it's an informational item. Any action that is required will come before the board at a future meeting. So.
Okay. The next informational item that we have is the Administrative Services Personal Property Surplus Process Overview. Do you want to talk again? Or are you all talked out?
I'll just give you a kind of a brief, I don't think we even need to go through the PowerPoint because we're time-wise.
Yeah.
Do we? Oh, yeah. Excuse me.
Are you guys okay with more
President,
time?
5 minutes. I always say 5 minutes. So the equipment
Oh, I
surplus.
thought it was the other one.
Which one?
Westbound.
No.
When are we gonna do that?
You want it, it's not on the agenda.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I have to do it next time. So, the personal property surplus, if any of you have taken a tour of our campus, we have some classrooms and buildings that are full of furniture. It was a good idea at the time, when we're building, to try to save furniture and put it places. But I think really what we've done is just close the door and kind of forgot about it. So we're cleaning that up as part of our process of redoing the administration building and the HILB and the building C. And we actually sent out a email to all staff to say, we have some furniture and equipment. We want you to come through, make an appointment, and tag what you want for use in the college. It's not for personal use, but use in the college. So they did that. We had, I think, about 20 individuals, which I expected a little more, but we had 20 individuals that came through and they thought they had won the lottery because a lot of the equipment was much better than what they had. So we've made arrangements for that equipment to be delivered to their classrooms or to their place of work here at the college. I'll clarify that. And we're left with the remaining process. So we actually have to go through a code section. We have a responsibility to manage. These are the code sections, Ed Code Section 81450. So we have to go through a disposal of surplus property through a sale, a donation, an inclusion in scope of facility renovation project, or through discarding. So all those have to be done. So we're right in the middle of that process. The timeline has stopped. I think we allowed 2 weeks for our staff to go through. So we're now in the next part of that. So the means of disposal are through a sale, a discard, a donate, or include in a bid for proposal for faculty renovation or facility renovation and remodel. So we're in the process of doing that. We just wanted to bring it to your attention as we move forward. And actually a board item, I believe, when we're disposing of them will come forward and they will have to be listed so that we're okay with legal.
So we found good homes for a lot of it, or for a little of it, or?
Not as much as we'd like, but we found homes for usage here at the college, and so the next process will keep you apprised, so.
Lisa, I have a question. How did you communicate to our faculty? Were all our faculty and our staff informed via email? What was the process?
Emails went out, and then information was available. I think we mentioned it at CPC, I think we've mentioned it. I can't remember if 1 or 2 emails went out. It was actually handled through fiscal. Marlene Reynolds, who is our purchasing person, was kind enough to meet with and go through the buildings and design a process that actually worked pretty well. So that first part of the process is complete. The second part we are currently in the midst of. So that's really all we need to say.
Okay, that's the end of the informational items. Study session. First on this is the board self-evaluation instrument. And I believe we are going to get these passed out to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, that's okay. We share well. It helps us bond. He doesn't want us to bond. Okay.
I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. I had wanted to spend time on it, but considering we just got it now to look at, and I feel it's something we need to not only review, then discuss, and then to set our goals from this, I'm wondering if it might be to the best advantage for us to take this home, review it, and bring it back next time, since we are so late in the meeting already, and go through it then. But it is not something that I'm just pushing aside to next meeting. I really think we need to go through it, because I think this is how we learn and we grow, is to look at what people say and think.
I think we need to do it in April. Because we're going to be minus 2 members in March.
Oh, April. Bring it back in April.
Right.
And
That's
I'd like
very
to
good.
suggest that we have it that can be projected, so that everyone can see what we're talking about.
What we're talking
Otherwise,
about,
it's
right.
a vacuum for the rest of the world.
And I look forward to hearing trustees' comments as to how we can improve on the various items.
Yes.
Because if we don't turn it into a
If we just look at it and say, well, who said that kind of
Right,
thing,
then-
we don't learn from
right.
it.
We need to see how we can make it
have
positive.
positive input. But I want to say this, that I'm very proud of the board, because looking over this, I don't see everything being 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, which we have had in the past. When I think that sometimes we're patting ourselves on the back and we're not looking at things. I also like the fact that there are multiple comments in the various categories, rather than just 1 or 2.
I'm
So I'm very
looking
happy with that.
at one item, which is under the student trustee. One of our requirements for being a student trustee is keeping a certain grade point average.
Right.
I think that most of us are not privy, and it's actually none of our business, what your grade point average is, what that student trustee's grade point average is. I'm suggesting that we remove that from this questionnaire and that go to her advisor. Is that what, that question should, and it should go out of this questionnaire.
Out of this,
When we get
yes.
it back as a, I think we should consider this a draft. I think Eleanor needs accepted and approved of whatever it is that we're going to do to this to make it a formal action, so that for her record and for all future student trustee
That's
records,
right.
they have an evaluation from the board, from their fellow board members, that we voted on to approve, because it's a good item to have in your portfolio. But it needs to show accurate information, and I know when I did it, I wrote NA on there, or nothing, because, as I said, I don't know, and I frankly don't think it's any of my business, okay? So, my business is how well you do your job, okay? And
Right.
so I would like to ask that we remove that item from this agenda, from this evaluation, and that we turn that part over to her advisor so that he can write whatever the appropriate comment is.
Yeah.
Please.
So we verify eligibility for all student leaders on campus, so that would be.
That's
she
perfect.
couldn't sit here
If she were, okay. Okay, so let's remove that.
Okay. And then I think that's probably a very good recommendation, is that we vote on, our feelings and everything about that at the end.
And that way, the student, first, I think we communicate well here as a group, but as she moves to her next chapter in her life, then she'll have this nice piece of paper, or whatever trustee is sitting here will have this report that says, I did this.
How they, and
I
how
did
well they did on it. That's a very good recommendation. So maybe we can have that separated out, and then we can actually vote on it and make that an action item for the next,
Right.
for the April meeting. And remove that one item.
Yeah, we just need to remove, because it's not an applicable, and we've had it before,
And it's
and
yeah.
I think we ended up writing NA or something, and we just never actually got around to removing it. Let's just remove it.
You never did that. Okay. Okay, so, but if there's no objection, we'll just stop this part of the study session on this now, but we will bring it back, because I think it's important and critical that we do that. It's part of our training, it's part of our board evaluation, and maybe at that time, we can look at other things that we want to take off and change around as well. Okay? Okay, at this time, we will go now to the President's Annual Report. Dr. Kinnaman.
Thank you. So I'll be brief because it is very late, isn't it? So, and you have a printed report in front of you that has two parts. One is the college and one is the foundation, yet they seem so woven together. And I think that over the past couple of years, we've really aligned with one another, so that both organizations they're melding nicely. Can you scroll for me? Oh, I got it. But it's not a PowerPoint, so I don't think I can do it, can I? Huh? Can you scroll some more? Okay, next page, please. So I just want to cover some highlights. A couple of things. We did have our Changing Lives campaign with the foundation, and the foundation raised $3.5 million in 30 days, which is amazing. And how does some of that translate? Some of it translates in a way where we have money for our Student Ambassadors program, and under Carlos's leadership, we'll be implementing that this spring. I think this month maybe, but I'm not going to put him on the spot. Faculty Innovation Center that we have funding for, as well as all types of equipment and different things that were identified through the program review update process that is part of the College Planning Council, which has college-wide representation in that process. So on the next page, you'll notice, of course, we had the exciting opening of the Indio campus. That was just February. That was 1 year ago that facility opened. And we've had lots of events there. It seems like 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, I believe. We've already outgrown the classroom capacity. And again, we'll be adding classroom capacity in part of the area that was originally earmarked for retail, but we will still maintain a retail portion. And I think one of the more exciting things about that is, we've kept a promise to that community, and also it's part of the revitalization of that part of the community as well. And again, we had some other exciting things that take place. One of our staff participating in Les Mis. He's not paying attention to me right now. And
he's looking at it. He's trying to find
know.
himself in that picture.
I know he.
I think he said yes.
Have you found yourself in that picture yet? All right.
Right there.
So again, recognitions for Les Mis, our MESA program, and there's so many and too many that could be included in this annual report. And you can go ahead and move forward on the next slide. But we'll just run through some of the exciting things. The Chaparral getting first place, our women's softball becoming Foothill Conference champions, and then one that one of our students has expressed recently that was exciting is our students being able to meet Supreme Court Justice Kennedy over at Sunnylands. And again, as we had the presentation today from Sunnylands, just another example of how hopefully we can have a tighter relationship so we can create more opportunities for students like that. We have our Professor of the Year, Leif Jordan, and Leif also working with us now, coordinating our dual enrollment with our K-12 institutions, and so we're appreciative to have somebody like Leif leading that charge. And we also hired several new faculty, and we see they look young, don't they? And refreshed and everything. So, but it's exciting to have them joining us at the same time, honoring our emeriti faculty that left us last spring. And again, with these faculty and with our temporary part-time faculty, we have addressed the issue of bottlenecks, and we're increasingly focused on that and making sure that students have the courses they need in a timely manner so that they can complete their programs and transfer or go into the workforce and not have it prolonged. So we're excited about that, and again, continue to support the EDGE program and other programs that are related to that goal of making sure that students are successful and that they genuinely do have the opportunities that they deserve. On the next pages, we'll run through these quickly, but it's not small. This is pretty significant when you start looking at what's occurred. We have our new Applied Sciences complex, our new gym, our new tennis courts, tennis complex, I believe, the Child Development Center, Visual and Performing Arts, our stagecraft facility. So a lot of things this past year, a lot of people involved, and when we think about those buildings coming online and then furnishing those buildings and getting equipment, et cetera, moving individuals from other facilities where they've waited and anticipated moving into the new facilities, all that process and that work of staff is just amazing. And if we go on, we'll go into the foundation on page 17. Exciting things with the foundation again, 17, 18. We've got really great leadership from the community and board members that are committed to raising funds and committed to giving their funds to College of the Desert. And many of these individuals were here Monday at the scholarship, recipient scholarship program. So when you think about it, we've got individuals that are really out there donating large sums of money, raising large sums of money, yet they're still not so large and disconnected like you would worry about. They're very connected to our students, and they're very engaged. And so it's more than just about raising money and giving money. They really believe in the mission of the college. So, as you go through here, you can see a lot of different supporters, and we can't thank them enough for all of the support. And again, I think that Jim, over your leadership, is Jim still here? Did he step out? He was here. Well, at least I won't embarrass him then. But we've got some other folks from the foundation here, and at least over the past couple of years, we've taken the foundation, and the foundation team has taken the foundation to being one of the top 10 foundations for community colleges in the nation, which is quite a feat. And it's pretty sweet, isn't it? It's very nice. So with that, I'm going to leave this with you for, you can review it in more depth, and we'll be revisiting some of the information in here later in the spring and adding to it. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kinnaman. This is a beautifully put together advertising campaign.
Yes, thank you, Pam Hunter and staff.
And I want to thank the foundation. Okay, one thing before we close, capital projects report was in our board packet. Please make sure you take those with you and review that information. We don't need to go back to closed session.
No, and once you adjourn, the board can stay for a few minutes. Not to talk or anything.
Seeing no more business on our agenda, are there any objections to adjourning the meeting? No. If no objections, this meeting is adjourned at 3:53 and a half.
Yeah, perfect.
Like that, huh?
You just add those numbers together.